I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Banta?
Here.
Mr. Franco? Here. Ms. Joya? Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Here. Present.
Mr. Spindell?
Present.
Mrs. Wallace? Here. Ms. Buckman? Here. Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting conversation is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Community News. The announcement for the regular monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on March 25th, 2014. The items to be discussed during the closed work session of April 24th, 2014 may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations and/or grievances, tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. Okay, right, I'd like to have an approval of the minutes for the regular monthly meeting of March 20th and the executive closed session for March 20th. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Bruce for a special presentation this evening.
Okay, I'm going to ask Cindy, join me up by the whiteboard. And Mr. Dorso, if you'll come over by the whiteboard as well. Let me say a few words. First of all, good evening, everybody. And tonight we are honored, and I say that seriously, we are honored to have in attendance some of our most successful students who have brought honor to themselves and to their families, accomplishment, and certainly made all of us on the board and the administration and the teachers very proud to be associated with them as our students. So we have 4 of our high school students that we are going to recognize tonight. And I want to say personally that the Board of Education, I want to thank them for their time to allow us to have this recognition at a business meeting such as tonight. So I thank them and their support. I want to thank Mr. Marcello, our high school principal, for running such a great high school and all of the people that he works with. Our president, who will be handing each of the students their certificate upon recognition, and certainly the teachers behind this, and also Mr. Ron Dorso, our science subject supervisor, who is going to give us a little expose on all of our students. And I'm looking forward to hear it, although I already read it, but I'm looking forward to hear it again. So we have a lot of people to thank. And I think if you go back in time, there was some teacher that has really influenced you. There's a principal along the way that helped out. And by all means, there's a loving family unit behind each of you. And as a parent myself and all the parents in the room, we will never, ever forget to talk about that family unit, because that's the most important thing. You have that support and that love to go out and take the chance, and take the risk, and study hard. And tonight we're going to recognize you for all of your accomplishments. We have one student who has been selected to attend a national science camp, and we have 3 students that have been selected to attend the Governor's School of Engineering and Sciences for the summer program. So I'm going to, one at a time, hand this to Mr. Dorso, and he can begin. Would you like to begin with this student?
Thank you very much.
All right. And then here is the certificate.
So the first student we'll call up is a senior. Her name is Catherine Broken. Kat, would you come up?
Right here and stand so we can take some pictures.
So Kat was actually here last year. She was one of our representatives at New Jersey Science League, the Governor's Science, New Jersey Governor's School of Science, correct? And she's been, now she's going to be representing us at the National Youth Science Camp. Each state gets to send 2 students to the National Youth Summer Camp, and she's one of the representatives for the entire state of New Jersey. So Kat is going to be studying next year at Columbia College, neuroscience and behavior and French studies. Some of the classes she's taken at Fair Lawn High School include AP Calculus BC, Multivariable Calc, AP Stats, AP Physics, AP Chemistry, STEM Lab Honors, Senior Seminar in Technology Honors, or some of our engineering programs. She's involved in Marching Band, National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, Science League, and the Pit Orchestra. And you'll see that a lot of the students we're honoring tonight are not only really good in science and engineering, but they're also musically inclined. I asked all of the students their most memorable experience at the high school, as well as their most influential teacher throughout their time in Fair Lawn. Kat's most memorable experience was placing 4th in a national marching band competition, and also in our senior seminar in technology class, she got to build a fuel cell car, and then she went to our chemistry classes and showed that off to some of our younger students to try to inspire them to become engineers as well. Her most influential teacher is actually here tonight, hiding somewhere. There she is, Miss Velasco. Who encouraged her to pursue opportunities in the field of STEM. Congratulations.
On behalf of the Board of Education, congratulations, and I don't know when you have time to sleep.
She doesn't sleep enough.
That's her mom. The next 3 people we'll call up are representatives of the Governor's School, 2 engineering representatives, and 1 in the School of Science. We had about 15 students apply. We were allowed to recommend 2 for each of the schools. The people who were the selection committee included Ms. Velasco, Mrs. Church, who's a guidance counselor, Mr. DeBlock, who's a guidance counselor, and myself. We read through all of the applications, having an idea as to what Governor's School looks for. And both of our engineering applicants were accepted, and 1 of our science applicants was accepted. The first one, Justin Perez, would you come up? Justin is an 11th grader going to the Governor's School of Engineering, hoping or wishing to study biomedical engineering in the future. He takes AP Calculus BC, AP Chemistry, and AP Computer Science. He's in the Math League, Engineering Club, Chemistry League. He's a fencer. He's in the Science and Math National Honor Societies and the National Honor Society. His most memorable experience, and I actually know Justin pretty well from this, he's in the Science National Honor Society, and he was just elected our president-elect, so he'll be our president next year. His most influential teacher is the advisor of the Science National Honor Society, Mrs. Battaglia, who is a chemistry teacher, and he feels that she's been a very influential teacher in his desire to go into the sciences.
Wonderful. Mr. Velasco, did you get the pictures? He's also a photographer besides being an outstanding teacher. Okay.
Sammy Flansman. Sammy is going to the Governor's School of Science, hoping to study biochemistry in the future. He's taken AP Chemistry, AP Calculus BC, and is in STEM Lab Honors. Marching band, track, jazz band, debate team, and chemistry league. As a freshman, he attended a national championship in marching band It was so exciting, according to the story he wrote for me. He remembers everything leading up to the event and very little about the event. Mr. Marcella always talks, or very frequently talks about how proud he is because he gets to represent all of the teachers throughout all of Fairlawn at graduation. Sammy actually says his most influential teacher was his 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Lustgard. And he wrote this whole story, and in summary, she taught him that it was perfectly acceptable to do things differently than the majority, which was very
Okay.
And Amal? Amal is also going to Governor's School of Engineering, plans to study engineering, business, and music. He has taken AP Calculus BC, Physics, and STEM Lab honors. He's involved in varsity debate, taken on a leadership position in Environmental Club, Math League, Science National Honor Society, and Math National Honor Society. As a freshman, he placed 3rd place in the county in the Math League competition. And his most influential teacher was Mr. Kafer, a high school music teacher, who taught him the value of education and working with others. Wonderful.
Mrs. Dorso, thank you very much. Parents. Which one?
Can we take a group picture with all the kids?
Sure, that'd be great. That'd be great. You want just the kids?
No, you don't.
Except the skinny guy in the middle.
He's tall. They're all tall.
They're all tall.
How's that?
You guys get it? You got everybody?
Yes, they're all. Thank you.
Great. Parents, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for giving us the pleasure of really working with and presenting a lot of learning going on between students and teachers throughout. These are outstanding, outstanding young people. They make Fairlawn schools look great when they have this product of student achieving what they've achieved. So I will say from my heart, thank you, parents, because I know what it's like trying to help kids to move along in school. You know, you stay focused on it. I would like the pleasure to shake your hand, all of you, which I'm going to do, and thank you personally. But I'll give you an option. We have a wonderful program coming up.
Don't do it. Don't let them throw it.
And you can stay here for the next 2 hours and watch.
65 slide.
Or you can take all of these young people out for a nice dinner at a diner or something. How's that? Ice cream. If you're older, I'd say Starbucks, but you know, who knows, all right? So feel free. I'm going to stand at the door, and anybody going, it'd be my honor to shake your hand and congratulate the parents as well, and the extended family members. Yes, you are. Nice job. That's an extra item. They're actually listed. Oh, I'm fine.
So I wrote it to
I just have two things before Bruce gives us the HIB report. Two of our board members have been recognized by New Jersey School Boards Association. Michael Rosenberg is going to be recognized at the New Jersey School Board public meeting in May the 6th at Maggiano's, and he has become a certificated board member. He achieved that award by attending conferences and getting credits, and I just want to say congratulations, Mike. And also to my vice president and comrade, Eugene Banta. He is getting honored at the New Jersey School Board meeting on May 6th, and he has obtained his Master Board Member Award. Congratulations.
They increase your.
100%. Okay, Bruce, you're back on.
Okay. First of all, let me explain what we're going to be doing tonight with the presentation. We have two presentations. The first one is a mandated presentation by the State Department of Education. It has to do with biannual reporting on our HIB law and obviously what has taken place in the last 6 months in the Fairlawn Public Schools. We have to report that at a public meeting, which I'm going to do. It also brings in the violence and vandalism report, and this is all mandated, so we have to do it at a public meeting. It has to be recorded in our minutes, and it's part of CUSAC when we all have to face that. So this will not take that long. It's a short presentation. The one in early of the year in October, when we do the early one, that's a very long one because it brings in a number of other things. The second presentation is on the most important document that a public school can be involved in, and that's the school budget each year. And so we're going to be going right into that after the HIB and vandalism report. So let me start by saying there is a very lengthy definition of HIB, or harassment, intimidation, and bullying, that has been adopted by the legislature and passed on by law. And we're all living with that in the public school systems. Here it is. It talks about any gesture of single act or multiple acts of harassment or intimidation or bullying on and off school grounds to be considered. I'm just going to summarize. By the way, both of these presentations will be up by next Monday on the website. So if anybody's really interested in reading every slide, and I started with about 160, it's down to about 78. We're not going to go through every 78 slides, but if you really want, or any member, you can certainly go up and read the whole thing. I'll have it up on the website. There is as I said, lengthy. It continues as a reasonable person. I think our attorney can tell us that the word reasonable is used in law, in court, and briefs many times. And here it is in this definition as well. A reasonable person should know under the circumstances, will they or he have the effect of physically or emotionally harming. So there's some consciousness based on a reasonable person doing or performing the act of HIB, and that's what they look for. As the effect of insulting or demeaning is also involved in the definition. Creates a hostile educational environment for a student for interfering with students' education. So if by my actions they are actually interfering with another student's right to have an education, that can be construed as bullying or intimidation, etc. And then there's this chart, which we created. Now, it looks funny, and it is, but if you follow the chart, it actually takes you step by step what the mandates direct us to do. And we have to send letters, we have to investigate if someone reports an alleged act of bullying or harassment. We have to investigate it, and there's a timeline of 10 days to come up with a report. We have to make that report to the Board of Education, which I do every month. The board will acknowledge they agree or they disagree. We will then send out, after the board meeting, letters to the parents of our students. If they're 18, they'll get a letter, and that will be the finding of the investigation. And if the parents or the student want to appeal, there are a number of appeals, avenues to appeal, I should say, in the process. And that's what that's all telling you. Okay, so here is the state form which we submit as our official report for half of the year. The half year that we're reporting on tonight is for the period of September through the end of December. And as you can see, we have on hit cases alone, we have 10. Now that doesn't mean we had only 10 allegations. We had a lot more, many more allegations. But as we investigate them, we will either determine that they do fall under the categories or definition of HIB, and then it's a finding, or that they don't. And we don't have to report on the state form all the cases that are not determined to be HIB, only those that are. So as you can see here, you have the numbers going down. In that time period, Fair Lawn High School had 4, Milnes had 1, there were none in Forest, Lindcrest Memorial had 3, Radburn 0, Thomas Jefferson 2, and then Warren Point and Westmoreland 0, and we have the number 10. So that's what we reported. Okay. Now, on a separate form, it brings it together with the acts of violence and vandalism that all public schools have to report to investigation. And here you can see that in the column of violence, here, we had in the district a total of 13 incidents that fall into that category of violence. Now, the word violence might get some people quite scared. Violence has a number of different definitions. All right, it doesn't mean that was a violent act where we had some intruders coming in, although it could. But in this case, it doesn't. We were fortunate, obviously, we didn't have that. But it comes down to other things, like 2 people having an argument and pushing each other, or maybe slapping somebody, etc. Or and that could be considered a violent act. Then there's vandalism. We had no acts of vandalism. That's terrific. To have a plant where you have 11 buildings and all the fields, not to have any vandalism in a 6.5-year period of time, that's quite an accomplishment. That says a lot for our community. It really does. Weapons, fortunately, none. And a weapon can be defined, a very small weapon that you can conceal to obviously a larger weapon like a gun or a club or whatever. But we had none. We had 1 case, unfortunately, of substance abuse. Now, does that mean that we don't have, other substances, illegal substances that people are involved in? No, it's not commenting on that. It's commenting on a substance abuse case that was discovered or brought to light, and we got involved in that case in a serious number of events. So and there's the HIB of 10. So that's the 2 major reports. Now, there's a number of reports that back this up, and it looks like this. So here we summarize violence, 13 weapons. If you look here, these are all the backups. So on each of the counts of violence or weapons or confirmed vandalism, it goes into a data spread of incident by category, by school, so it'll take each violent act and break it out by category, it'll break it out by incident, what location, where did it happen, was it in the cafeteria, was it in a hallway, was it in a bathroom? Victim information, who was the victim, will identify the student, general ed student, special ed, not by name, but by category. Sometimes if we have to go that deep, we'll do student number, but again, not by name. The offender on the other side is identified, and then action taken. What action was taken both to the offender, suspended, were they given counseling, did they get medical, emotional help, and also to the victim, was there any action taken for counseling or medical or hospitalization or anything else that's going on. So that's the whole report. And that's how we go through. All public schools do this. We're not alone. But I will say that we have very, very good numbers, and not good, I hope they maintain themselves. When you have a student body of, almost 5,000, just a little under 5,000 students, this is quite an accomplishment. Does anybody have any questions I can answer in this area? Otherwise, we're going to go right to the budget. No? Okay. As I said earlier, I believe the most important document, the most important piece of work that we do as an entire district is this, what you're going to look at today, because everything a public school will do after the adoption of the budget relies on, obviously, what we're going to talk about. Now, before I get right into the slides, I wanted to just make a couple of comments and observations. First of all, I want to thank, in the audience, besides some parents, we have a number of our district employees, administration, and teachers, etc., subject supervisors. They're here basically to support the presentation because they all worked in putting this together. They all had input. Obviously, they want the budget to go through because they know what they're entitled to get to work with. They don't want to lose anything, and I appreciate their support for coming out tonight. They could be home, watching, Chicago Fire or something. Yankees and Red Sox. Or Yankees and Red Sox. But they're here. So I want to say that. Now, on the front page, I want to personally, as I do many, many times, I want to say thank you very much to Joanne Wilson, our business administrator, Natalie Lacatino, our assistant superintendent, Lisa Panaggia, director of human resources, Joyce Bean, director of special ed, John Apollo, our assistant business administrator, and the Fair Lawn Board of Education. I do an awful lot of choreographing. I do an awful lot of facilitating. I do an awful lot of brainstorming. But I couldn't do any of that without all of you working on this. I'm very proud of the budgets we have put together year after year after year. When I show you some of the slides tonight, I hope to put some of this in perspective on how we're positioned as a good district, very good, in Bergen County, a very expensive community to live in. So I hope we get that across as well. Having said that, I will spend some time looking at some of the slides. For instance, I believe these first few slides are critical. And the first one is a district mission statement. And the mission of the Fair Lawn Public Schools is to promote continuous improvement, very important, and high levels of learning, to foster self-confidence, as we saw in those students we just honored, and support success for all students, and to engender productive and humane citizens empowered by the critical technological and communication tools necessary to function democratically in a global society. Our expectation is that all students will achieve both the New Jersey core content curriculum and the Common Core as applicable as we phase all of this in. That is a lot to chew on, but it is clearly what we live every day, all of the people that work in this district and this Board of Education. There is a statement, the mission of the superintendent's office, which I believe is number one, is to recruit, develop, invest in, and retain, don't let them go, effective teachers and principals. Effective teaching is identifiable, it is teachable, and implementable. The more effective the teacher, the greater the student gains. The more effective the principal, and that means all administration, I use that as a generic term such as Kleenex, the greater the achievement levels at the school. Now, I will go through these, you can read these, some of this, and I give some credit to some of the authors that I have been reading over the years and have actually lassoed some of their information and used it myself. This is a slide I stole from Mr. Marcella, and it's a great slide because in the picture it tells what Fairlawn is about. We have rigor and relevant curriculum that we work on. Together, we analyze data all the time, and with that, as we analyze the data and looking at our curriculum and the performance of students or lack of, we come together with a very, very defined curriculum of help, which we call Pyramid of Interventions. It could also be designing more APs for those people who need more on top, not just struggling students. You put that all together, and we hope that every day we can satisfy the two overarching goals of the school. Then there are district goals. You'll know these. You can read these on the website. I'm not going to read them to you because they'll be up there. We've talked about them a lot. I will talk about one thing at the end of a goal, which many districts will not talk to, is this. What else? This is what we're focused on, as well as curriculum. What else? Interpersonal skills, which mean respect. We talk about tolerance, compassion that we want to show from the superintendent, from the principals, from the subject supervisors, from the teachers, to the parents, and to our children. And certainly from the board, which I asked for compassion many times, and you've never let me down. Dispositions, they are perseverance, patience, and curiosity, and sound judgment regarding the aesthetics, the ethics, and the sense of civic responsibility. That's also what we focus on in Fairlawn, not just how we're going to get you through the classroom, our curriculum. Okay, so there's more, there's quality, there's continuous improvement. Now, let me get into some of the numbers. If you want to look at this, the first slide is called the NetCap worksheet. We use this to formulate, in a general sense, how are we going to support a budget? Where is the money coming from, and what are we going to spend? This is telling us very quickly that our tax levy, which I'll show you in a minute, is $77 million, and that our total budget is $90,816,000. And there are different funds within, which I'm going to show you. However, one of the most important things I want to spend a minute on, that is the tax increase. We have a 2% cap, and a number of years ago, this country came out of a financial down spin-off from Wall Street and a number of other major banks, and a lot of people were hurting economically. You can all remember that. It's not that long ago that we went through that. The Board of Education was very, very, very compassionate, and we said, although we have a 2% cap, we will recognize the difficulty of the economic times, and Bruce put a budget together, so not to hurt people, but you cannot go to 2%. And we said, that's right. That's the right thing to do. So for 3 years, we've been below the cap. Now, during the 3 years that we've been below the cap, the state, which has a sunset clause after this year, has said, whatever you did not use in raising tax money to get to that 2% cap. We're gonna bank that. And we're gonna allow you to use some of that down the road, but not too many years down the road. So we were compassionate in that we want to keep, obviously, this wonderful district moving forward and improving, but this is the year. So if you look, you will see that the tax going from last year to this year is $2 million on the net school. However, when we put in all the tax, including debt service, which is the payoff of our buildings or our mortgage, we have a decrease, and we have also thrown in some appropriation money that it comes out. The actual school tax this year is going to be $1.7 million. That is, which I'll show you later, the dollar impact. But keep in mind, to start, this 77 is for the book to over the 2% cap. Okay, so it is 2.25. It is over the 2% cap. So we have that being offered. We've started that, and we go to 2.25 to 2.5. And of course, it's roughly about $500,000 to get to that point. And it is now time to do it because we will lose that if we do not use it. However, we came back and made some appropriation, and we've actually brought that down under. So the general tax is up, over cap, but then we bring it back down when we put in the debt service, we make an appropriation. There's a benefit for doing that. So here it is here. We have last year's budget for this year's budget. Here's the increases, decreases over here, and you will see that the total budget going to 90 million is up 2.81%. Total budget. Now that's not all taxes, that's the total budget. So get there, you have all these other revenues coming in to help you get to the 2.8. I'm going to show you that in a minute. This chart is an eye-opener for many people. Back in 2009-10, if you add all your revenues together, which would be your fund balance, your miscellaneous revenue, all the state aids, which is in the middle here, we had a total of $8 million of that revenue coming in that category, and our taxes were $68.9 million. What happened was money was taken away from districts, and as you can see, we went from 8 million to 4.3. Huge drop. We had a lot of problems. We couldn't keep some people employed, and we had to make some tremendous changes. So what happens when state aid goes down? And as you can see, as state aid figures going across, you can see how they drop. Here's $1.6 million. Today is 250,000, 2.6 million. This is back up. 1.1 is now 147,000. So as that state aid goes away, how do you survive? Well, we survive in two ways. One, we manage the budget differently. We want to create more revenue. We stop spending almost before half of the year is up, and we create a revenue at the end of the year. So we can appropriate it back. We started with the fund balance. This is money coming out of our savings account of $800,000 roughly. It's now $1.5 million. This will run out. We're not going to be able to do that forever. And we're also looking at, obviously, the impact of taxes. So as you're losing a state aid, you're making that loss up by your own money and also raising taxes. That's what that chart is telling us. Okay? The budget is divided into 5 funds. Very important because the current expense fund, which is the largest fund, is really looked at as all the money in the budget that goes directly to education, right to the classroom, somehow. Teacher salaries, the purchase of furniture in the room, whiteboards, technology boards, lighting, all of that goes to the classroom. So you can see that. So if you want to know how do we get, if that's how we're going to divide the budget, how am I getting the money to spend or support it? This is how my revenue comes in. First of all, the biggest part of those 5 funds is tax money, because we are a minimum tax district, minimum aid district, minimum aid district. And then you have all these other little slices. So we're going to get some money from state aid, 3.3 million. Remember I just told you we used to get a ton more? Capital reserve, that's the money this board's been saving. Listen, long-term savings, like an annuity. We're going to keep putting money out there and we can draw it in, right? So we've been saving for 10, 12 years of that money. Community school brings in revenue. We have to pay a debt repayment. We have additional state aid, budget fund balance. That's what this is. That's the money from the board savings account. Grants and entitlements. This is money, restricted money. It comes in from the federal government or some parts of the state and says, this is what you're spending on. Title I, Title III, Title II, MCLB. State aid, extraordinary state aid is all special education aid. Tuition, we get that from students who attend us. We charge them in our special ed program. Miscellaneous revenue, summer school tuition, and semi that we get, which is really coming through Joyce's office. Sylvia manages that with our special ed families on various programs like health benefits and such. So that's how we're getting all the money. And if you look at what else is doing, well, before we actually start spending the money, we need to know, is our district maintaining itself or is it changing? So we look at demographics. I'm going to show you just the middle school, but you can see from 2007 to 2013, the biggest change in demographics, in your legend, the biggest change is coming with the Hispanic community. So, Memorial School, the biggest change in the demographics has been the growth of Hispanic students. Well, why do we want to know that? Well, it speaks for itself. How do we budget to support those children? If I don't know they're coming, how am I going to put my money in the budget to have the proper support for the Hispanic community coming in, like ESL students, etc., and also material? Well, let's take a look at TJ. What's happening at TJ? Ah, look, something very similar. All right, if you're looking here and you're looking at the Hispanic community, the biggest change in TJ is the growth in the Hispanic community. So having the two middle schools being the central depository of children moving through our system on both sides of town, I think you can safely say that the Hispanic community is growing in Fair Lawn, and are we aware of it? And as you can see, we are aware of it, and that's what we structured in the budget. So those things you have to know. Here's a pie chart on how we're spending. We are a people business, and from here to here, almost 3/4 of the budget is personnel. These are certificated salaries. That's all your teachers, administrators, everybody holds a certificate. And then your non-certificated salaries, that could be secretaries, paraprofessionals, custodian, maintenance personnel, etc. So you can see how much the salaries of the people affect our total budget. And then we get into other things like insurances and benefits and then audit fees. But here's the real challenge. And when you see what we do with our money, I hope you'll be as impressed as we are who put this together. But where do I have the money to spend and what I need to spend for children? Well, right down here, we have, in these two little slivers, you have miscellaneous spending, so we can spend that on certain programs. We have textbooks and workbooks in that little purple sliver there. And we have instructional supplies, which is the blue. So the yellow, the purple, and the blue is money we can spend on education, besides teachers. So how important is the teacher? How important is the administrator? Very important. But that's where you get our money. Now I'm going to show you in a minute how much we're going to get for spending those little slivers in this district, starting with new staff. We have 3 positions elementary budgeted. We have a part-time history teacher position budgeted. We have a new, these are all new, part-time, so full-time is shift. TJ needs some help. We have a .6 tech ed at the high school. We have a .4 business teacher at the high school, and a math teacher, and a keyboard teacher. We know now that in order for our students to be very well prepared for Park down the road, we've got to do a better job in getting down to the lower grades and start them on the keyboarding and how to use, how to maneuver through this test called Park and so forth. So we need another position. I'll give us our 3rd teacher. Now, the one thing which is always a challenge is how good are we on making this type of prediction when we don't even have the budget employment settled for next year. Right now, Mr. Marcello is involved in his high school administration in sectioning the high school. So we all got a copy of the section report from last year. We're doing that now. At the end of that sectioning, we'll sit down and say, do I have enough teachers to do what I want to do? Do I have maybe all the teachers I need and I can give you, Bruce, 2 sections? That happens from year to year. Sometimes I have to give him 2 sections, sometimes he has to give me 2 sections. So we're looking forward to that. Then we do that in the middle school. And do we really need, as we project today, a .4 math teacher? Well, when we do the sectioning, it may be only a .2 math teacher, or maybe a .6. So, we're going to look at that. Now, why am I saying that? Because when we budget like this board has talked about two other positions. We've talked about going into that Google direction, and we've also talked about looking at what we just presented to you, a senior option supervisor teacher person, which we all believe is a great thing to do. So how do we do that? Well, we have sat and chatted about the senior options. No matter what happens, we believe that, yes, the senior options person can teach at least one section. I think that was a suggestion by Reese. And that senior option person can start working with students who are already working. I think it's a good entry. And then prepare during the year. So we could do that. Because now we're looking at 4 sections to fund, now 5 sections to fund. So as we look at that, and what about that Google position? Well, we're looking at something different. We can't get those into separate positions. Now I have to change and take money from other staff going to work. So what we are doing, just recently, I brought into the district through the help of Mr. Khan and a few other people, and Jim, and a few of other people. We're looking at a product called Schoology. And Schoology is kind of a user-friendly umbrella which brings Google out right inside. It marries it, brings it together, and it's a whole learning management system for students and teachers to use. And if that works out for us, we're going to do the Google direction through release time of the person who I believe has got the certification and help us move into that. So we're hoping that works out. And that will handle that position, so we don't have to go in and do a whole position on it. It will just be some really for the first year. And if it works as good as I think it's going to work, then next year we're going to look at maybe moving some people around to do that. The senior options we're hoping will cover here, and there's one position in special ed, and we're hopefully going to get some money out of. And if it works out the way we think it might work out, we'll have enough money to put the senior options in, at least a .4. Rather than a full 5 section, maybe 4 sections. So that's an unknown right now until we do all our sectioning and look at enrollment. So that's your new step. What else are we getting? Now, I'm going to go through this quickly because there's a lot here, but this budget supports all of this. So, and what's nice about this is, by the way, this board has gone to a direction of committees to put a budget together, and each committee has had a specialty working with the central office. This is a culmination of all those committees. So everybody gets a chance to see how it looks. So we have money in this budget to continue to support educational technology with all of this software and hardware up here, from Genesis, which is our student accounting, to our websites, to Maps 101, digital maps. No more buying maps that hang on a wall. We're using digital maps, etc. And that's a continuation. We have money in there for online textbooks. You can see a bunch of them there. Naviance, which is a great package, and especially when you're a parent of a junior, you better start reading and getting used to using Naviance. And New Jersey Can, same thing. It gives you some other options for looking at talent, aptitude, and also colleges. We have money for remediation programs. There's a whole list of remediation programs, including the continuation of our basic skills kindergarten next year, which in June we're going to come and talk to all of you about, was it successful, and how did it work, etc. Health and safety in the budget. All of this is in the budget. From driver ed classroom experience for the older students to purchasing a new gym equipment. So that's all there. We have 22 AP core. I think there's more. Is it 22, Jim? 22. Matt, 22? 23. It's gone up. Matt's going to teach one. It went up. It went up.
I gotta go prepare.
It went up. We have 22. We have all the different teams. We have continuation in the alignment of district curricula. Obviously, we're going to continue that. We have the Common Core. We're looking at the new generation of science. Where is he? Where's Mr. Dorsal? Right? Science standards. We're doing that. Continue support for the park. That's an ongoing thing. I had to buy an oxygen tent for Natalie, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Okay,
Is that in the budget?
that's in the budget, oxygen. If you look at the literacy program that we're focused on, which is a district goal, it's all of that, again, it'll be on the website, you can sit and read to your heart's content. But we have a lot under the literacy, that continues in all different grade levels, and it's going well. I want to thank Gary, who was here, Pankowitz, and who has brought a whole new flavor of excitement and knowledge in the area of literacy as a leader for us in that field. And I also want to thank him because he has built relationships, which is the most important thing a leader can do. You build positive relationships, and that's all I've heard wherever I go. How do you like Gary? He's wonderful. How do you like Gary? He's wonderful. So we're very fortunate to have him, as we are with all the other subject supervisors. Mathematics. We have the brainchild all along from K to 12 of Mr. Ron Mazzadri and his team, and we all know how well that has been working. I am going to comment a little bit about dynamic math, Ron, later, not here, and so you can brag a little on that later on. Continues in the math area. You can quickly read this. It also gives us money to support the math area with the technology of the T-Inspire calculators and the connectors to the smartboard, which I observed in a class with Brian, and it was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved watching it. Brian did a great job. Lariviere. Brian Lariviere was absolutely phenomenal. Mr. Marcel and I did a dual observation of Brian. By the way, just so the board knows, part of the principal's evaluation is that I came up with a new concept. I go in with the principal, I evaluate and observe the principal, evaluating and observing the teacher. It's been quite interesting. We've had some really good conversations about that. I just did Memorial 2 days ago. Okay, so we're going through science. Not too much more to add about Mr. Dorso's genius when he had all the students up here. You notice how proud he was showing off the students. So, but we have all of this in science. This is all in those three little slivers. Right? Okay? So you have science, STEM courses, social studies. We're continuing going forward with our social studies with American Reading Company, literacy through the teaching of social studies, literacy through the teaching of technology. Literacy, we're focused on literacy with connections. Social studies, again, goes more and more. Okay, we got the ESL and world language support here, remediation in K-8. We also came up with a new kindergarten. Rather than some students being in the kindergarten basic skills, they're getting special attention through as being in the ELL program. So that helped us with our basic skills and our ESL students. We also support all the chapters and the charters and the honor societies that, and I'm going to give you another one later on, I'm going to announce another one, but all three, Spanish, French, and Chinese honors are in there. Fine and performing arts, we have symphonic band, I'll tell you a little about that later. We're working very hard to do our best to grow that population. AP Music Theory, all of the offerings in the fine and performing arts. Here's some more. Culinary arts, business law, web design, CAD, this is all career education. The average person that lives in this community does not know how much this school district offers. They don't know. And they should be here. And by the way, they're not even looking at this. We put it on a website, and we don't get anybody looking at it. It's a shame. Continue to provide PLC in our professional development. We've been very successful developing the PLC communities, and they're working very well. As I said before, preparation for PARC, professional development continues. Now, there is a huge part of our budget that because of how our focus is in our belief system, we have developed a ton of programs for our special needs students, more so than anybody else in the county, single district in the county. That comes with the price tag. Special education is about 28% of the budget, and you can see as I extrapolate that out, Majority, again, personnel. That's where the talent is. And then tuition and other costs. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of reading to a special ed class, and I had absolutely the most fun I've had all that day to be with those children and the teachers. Outstanding. We had such a good time. But to go in and see our programs is unbelievable what our faculty can do with children. So here, for everybody's benefit, I've listed the amount of programs that we offer in this district. Starting on this side, you have preschool disabilities. In Edison School, there are 6 classes. The CI, which is where I was yesterday at one point, there were 2 classes. Stepping Stones, with this new budget, we'll go to 10 classes. 10 in the area of autism. We have, and you can see the breakout here of all and where they are and what's going on next year here. With the little asterisk, that's because we're going next year. 5 students will be enrolled in high school. Language-based, LBLD, we have 3 at 3 Clare Bradburn. You can see the schools that they're at. Cognitive impaired, Memorial, that's our Bridges. And their Flex program is at Edison Memorial and a high school. And they've done a great job at the high school, both the students and the faculty, of bringing those children into feeling part of everyday life in Fair Lawn High School. And then we have the Family Model program. So that's the program. So now, how do we continue to support them? As we went through the special ed and staffing, we're going to add 10 paraprofessionals because we're adding new classes. We're going to add 1 LBLD teacher. Now, this is a position which we believe may or may not work out, so this is going to be interchangeable with the senior honors position. So no matter which way, either it goes one way or the other, I think we'll do it, but we also hope that through the sectioning we would get some to at least have a part-time starter. And we have a flex teacher being added for the middle school program, an autistic teacher, which I just shared with you at the high school, and a part-time behaviorist, specifically, Dr. Dean, for our Stepping Stones program. And we have 10 classes. 1 behaviorist can't do it. It's impossible. So we forward. And every day, I just said to Joyce in my office earlier tonight, I give all the credit and the admiration to the teachers, child study. I just don't know how they can do it every day. I can go in and read and get excited. I don't know how, I couldn't do that job every day. I could not do it. It's special. Am I right? Right? So we have Joyce, our special director, and our teachers. We are going to create, 3 occupational therapists. We're bringing contractors in who can control it. This is not new money. This is money that's in the budget for services, which is going to bring in, as I explained to the board. This is a big part of the budget as well, is transportation. Those of you who don't know, we were one of 2 districts in the entire state. We were recognized by this gentleman heads up the New Jersey Motor Vehicles, and we were picked out as having one of the best run, safest transportation departments for school districts in the state. So I want to show that. That's great. And I thank the business people and obviously transportation. But if you look at this slide, you'll see, look at all the transportation we do. I mean, we transport 273 special ed students every day. Tech students, 65 subscription students, 107 in the middle schools, 187 to non-public schools. And there's probably 40-some schools we bring them to. No, that's the special ed, it's 41. How many non-public? About 12, 14? Yeah. Somewhere in that range, right? But 187 a day. Then we have students who can't get routes, and we have to pay them, 210 families get money. That's all state law. We have to do that. And we have morning and late buses, Kiko busing, basic skills busing. So we are a big operation. Here's the cost of special ed alone. Here's what we do. Contracted vendors and in-house drivers, that's what it costs us for special ed alone. So the point here is, it's a big budget. Here's all the reasons why it's a big budget. Buildings and grounds. Look at what we're doing, continue. And over the years, I know Gene and John have been with me a long time on this, working on maintenance projects way back when. We have seen that capital budget go away. So we've got to get creative and come up with it. But still, next year, we're doing some recarpeting in these areas and libraries. We're renovating, continue. We do different bathrooms each year, partitions. Here, don't forget, we have the new Sasso track we have to do. And that will probably, once that's done, it'll probably be the best complex in Bergen County. And we have all the ROD grants. This is all ROD grants. We're spending 60%, we're getting 40% of the expenditure from the State Department. So we want to jump on that and don't let them, and we have a time limit on that, so we have to move on. And this is just continued cost savings. Joanne and John and Tom, they're all working on this, on the lighting and the changes of the bulbs to the new ones and also sensors. Here's our beautiful complex, and very, very, as the AD said to me earlier this morning, Mr. Robinson, Bruce, we're having another wonderful, successful year. And if you look at this, we have 27 sanctioned sports. There are 32 offered by NJSIAA. We offer 27 and 3 non-sanctioned. And as I said before, we have a capital improvement on the track, weight room equipment continues, hockey we paid for. There's 73 clubs at the high school, 45 clubs at the middle. All coming out of this budget, you see, band equipment funds, musical funds are in there that we buy. Oh my gosh, is there an end to this? No, there's not an end, there's more. Not only does the budget support all of that, but let me show you what you get out of it. Very quickly, I am comparing the district factor group, in other words, Fairlawn, which is a middle-income district, to the wealthier. Now, anybody who understands data and testing and assessments will know that with money goes the climb of test scores. The wealthier the community, the higher the test score. The wealthier the community, on the average, the higher the SAT, the higher the YAC, the higher the New Jersey ASPE. That is what it's back. That is not me saying that, that's research saying that. Even the State Department of Education has publicized documents saying that. But look at here. This is us compared to all the wealthy districts, the I districts. So here's Fairlawn, and this is our 4th grade English, and I only did 4, 8, and 11 real quick. But we're red, they're blue, and look how close we are here. Our special ed outperformed, our black outperformed, and our Hispanic outperformed, and look how close we are with the general ed. Great slide in language arts. How do we do in math? Here's how we do in math. This is the outcome of why I ask you to continue to support these budgets year after year. Here we are with grade 4 science. And here we go to grade 8. Here's our language arts compared to the I districts.
Just to reiterate, we're not a district I.
No, we're not.
These are wealthy communities.
These are the wealthy
We
communities.
are
We are
not.
GH.
This
We
is
are
how
the
we're
GH.
comparing with those districts that we are not compared with on any other level, but just here for ourselves.
Correct.
Okay. Just to
Correct.
reiterate.
Here's the math. As you can see, our Hispanic population, our African American, special education doing well, general ed doing well, all doing well compared to the wealthier districts. Here's our grade 8 science. And here's high school, language arts. I just want to point this out. 99.6, 99.6. Parents in this community get a lot for their money. Fairlawn, mathematics, 97, 67, 80. A little behind here, but look at that nice slide. These are the colleges and the universities that your graduates attended. I want to just take a look at this list. If I put Ramapo Indian Hills list up, and I put Ridgewood list, and I put Pascack Valley, you think it would look any different? Not at all. I've seen them, they don't look any different. And look at the schools there. There's Ivy League schools on there, there's state schools, there's all over the country. Georgetown University, George Washington, look at all the universities over here, Delaware, Connecticut, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, University of Penn, there's a Ivy League for it. University of Rhode Island, Wisconsin. Over here, you've got Loyola, Lehigh, a lot of Pennsylvania schools. James Madison, good school. All of it good. Montclair State, New England. Pace, Harsh, Penn State, Princeton is another one. Quinnipiac, very popular school all of a sudden in Bergen County. A lot of Bergen County kids going to Quinnipiac, very popular. So it gives you some evidence, I wouldn't dare to say the preponderance of evidence, they don't have evidence, shows us that our kids are doing well. Let me end by saying, what is it costing us now? All of this, what is it costing us? On an average assessed home, which is put out not by us, by the town, $324,000 average assessed home. The monthly increase to support this budget is $7.62 a month. And you can see you can see down here the differences of what it cost the average assessed home over the years and how much we've been able to maintain it these last three. That just shows you, if I'm sitting here and I'm a community member and I'm a resident, I'm saying, well, I have a $200,000 home, what is that going to cost me? Well, it's $4.70 or $56 a year. And I have a $500,000 home, well, that's only $40. That's the increase. Now, this is a chart I'd like to share because this comes right out of the Bergen record, and this is median taxes, where sometimes I get lambasted by a lot of groups about taxes in this town, but I want to point this out. The median tax in Fair Lawn is $9,600. I want to show you everybody below us are these districts, and this is everybody above us in Bergen County. Just take a look at some of the communities. And we fit in. We always have fit in very well. But what happens is board members get phone calls, I get all kinds of things, and people say, my taxes, my taxes. You're living in an expensive community. Nobody here is saying it's cheap. But when you compare us in all of these areas, people that live here are doing well. I'm not saying you're not having any problems. I'm not that callous. But here it does show some favorable information. This is the percent coming out of the record. This is the percent of spending. No, this comes from the Department of Ed, I'm sorry. Percent of spending. 59% of our budget goes directly to the classroom. Ridgewood 58, Leonia 57, Longmont 57, Bergen Field, and down. This is what we were able to get from the State Department. Pasco Valley 54, Ramapo 53. Okay, we spend more money on the classroom in our budget than some of the other communities. And finally, any questions? Michael?
First of all, thank you. It's very, it was actually not all that bad. Last year I toured our special ed programs with Dr. Bean, and it really opened my eyes to first of all, what kind of challenges students have in Fair Lawn. That the fact that people move into Fair Lawn for some of our programs, and just the fact of some of these issues that kids have, and that all comes with a price tag. It's a price tag that I think we all agree that we want, that it's money well spent, but it does come with a price tag. The only thing I'm disappointed in the budget is I was under the impression that we were going to try and get the Google person, and I was under the impression that we weren't going to make the high school senior options teach, that we didn't think that was a good idea. When we left the meeting, I'm saying when we left the meeting, the two things I remember is everyone at the meeting agreed that we wanted the Google person and to try and fit it in the budget, and that we didn't want, we wanted to be able to get this senior option teacher to be able to set up this program and do it the right way. So that's the only thing I'm disappointed with. The rest of it, like usual, the proof is in the pudding. We had, the test scores, and we sit here once a year going over all the test scores, and it's a shame that the public isn't here. They could be, it's advertised, but it's a shame that the public isn't here, and I think at the last one, even the press really wasn't here, or maybe one, of the, because there's where the proof comes in. And I want to thank all of the subject supervisors and principals that are here, because this is to support you guys and what you're doing. So, thank you.
As you know, Bruce, I was the sole dissenter of voting for the budget, for the preliminary budget. However, I spoke to Natalie, and the reason was because it was over 2% at that time. I spoke to Natalie, she told me that it was only like 69 cents for that 0.25% above, and which would provide the district with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I see what they're being used for, and I'm not going to go against it. I mean, the school district really does a hell of a lot. I'd have to be a fool to go against it.
Hi. First of all, thank you. Thank you to your staff for the wonderful job and your work and dedication. I wanted to emphasize first for the public the fact that little piece that because it is over 2%, that it is a use it or lose it situation. So I do want to emphasize that we will lose that money if we don't go over this year. So I do have a question about insurance rates. When insurance costs goes up, that is, I don't know if this is a question for the VA. Is this a cost we cannot control, and how much did it go up that we were not able to control in terms of what insurance premiums are, and how did that hurt us?
Well, Joanne, she can correct me if I'm wrong,
Medical
but let me give
insurance,
it.
Health insurance?
Health insurance.
You're talking about health insurance?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, as you know, the health insurance package is a state package, and
Right.
we are lumped in. One thing about when you go into the state, which we are, you are lumped in with the experience rating of everybody else that's in the state. When you're in a private plan, your experience rating is much tinier because it's only compared to those that are in that plan with you. So you get an opportunity to pick the plan you want to go to, and that's what I want. So the answer to your question is we have no control of that whatsoever. The state comes out with an announcement saying this is what your rates are going to be next year, and that's it. So unlike when we were in a private plan, we had some control. Matter of fact, we were one of 2 districts in Bergen County that was in a prospective plan. Well, most people don't even know what I'm saying. A prospective insurance plan, health benefit plan, is that we were able to take a 5% discount. You bet on the com, anybody go to Lansing?
Lovecraft.
Well, okay, so you bet on the come that you're going to have a great year, and you take a 5% discount up front, so your premium drops. Based on your actual claim, you're reimbursed up to a certain limit if you don't go over that. So not only you get a 5% discount, but I have a good year, I may get another 5%. We had 7, 8 years like that, and that was money coming into us. Those plans are history; they don't exist anymore. Once we gave ours up, and we had to, as you know, negotiate. That went away. Joanne, am I right?
Yes.
Right?
Can I just add that we do have our broker, D.R. Murray, works so hard for us to get us the very best insurance premiums, not only on medical, we are with state health, so we're subject to the same premium increase that any other district is. But I think everyone should remember that they also suggested this past year that we go to a self-insured dental plan, which everyone supported. That saved us a ton of money this year, in a 12-month period, over $100,000. So they're always looking for things like that. They may come back to us with a prescription change that would be equal to or better than what we have. But that's the kind of work that's going on behind the scenes all year long.
But I want to know, how much did the state increase our premiums?
Well, what's our rate next year?
Around 6% average. It
This year,
varies.
6%.
There's no number you can say we're paying this much more in insurance this year because the state increased it.
I have to look at it.
Well, we can look it up.
Okay.
Get it.
But we have extra people, we also have And it runs different, it doesn't run, the same fiscal year, they don't have the same fiscal year as us. The state changes their rates in January, so we're always looking at half a year of an increase.
I see.
That takes us into the next school year. So you can't do exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to concur with Mike. I was also of the impression that we were really going to get that Google position into the budget. And I have not lost hope. I really think that we should continue to try to do that. But I do want to, I don't want Mike to be the lone voice that nobody agreed.
Right.
Because I thought the same thing was going to be happening.
Right. If I could just add one thing, I think the conversation went, Bruce, we're gonna try to get the position in the budget. I don't wanna leave the word try out, because
Yeah, no.
we did try, and for the best of this district, we decided that there may be another way, and we, as I said to you earlier, which I know is hard if you haven't seen it, you don't understand it, but we are looking at a product called Schoology, which would really need a what we believe a Google professional get involved in, and we will, we're exploring that. Other than that, we would bring the Google position active on a part-time basis with release time. We have money budgeted in the substitute account. So we're going to bring a sub in and allow that person to come out. And we've already started, obviously, talking about the plan of that. But we'll go full-time and, either or. There's just really nowhere to go, otherwise we're changing, personnel, and the other positions were critical to us. Okay.
I'd like to thank you for your presentation. I know everybody busts your chops about your PowerPoints, but as many times as I do watch them, I always get something new, and something will stick, where when you say it, I can almost say it with you. So that's my cue that I'm understanding exactly what's happening, and I want to thank you for that. I also was concerned about the money that we would lose, and I'm glad that I can't see losing $500,000, and I think that's really important to stress, that money would be just gone.
John?
I just want to point out one part of the presentation that you mentioned, Gene and I, that has really been successful is our maintenance and capital program.
Yeah.
Even though we're spending a lot less money, we're prioritizing our spending so we're getting more bang for the buck. And we're going to have a report soon on our energy efficiency audit, and that's going to show that we're spending that money very effectively, keeping our energy costs down. So it's a very successful part of the budget, and we're continuing to do that.
Yeah, I was glad you took it well, because I didn't mean to point out that you and Gene are two of the oldest, with me, but, you've been around a long time.
Oh, Gene's older than me.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Shard, any questions?
Not so much on the budget, but I know you made a comment about you wish more of the public was here.
Yes.
Granted, you got it on the webcam, but you're limiting yourself, I think, because you can't fit too many people in here. Plus, I'm gonna sound like an advocate, but I am for Channel 77,
Right.
where people can watch it at their leisure. With one camera, I just think you're not really broadening yourself out to the public to let them see this kind of slideshow on there. And, that's something just going forward.
Thank you. Good observation. I'm going to rely on Tracy's writing. Pick up on that.
I'd like to respond to that, and I can remember going out with Bruce we used to scatter the budget presentations at different venues, one side of town, middle of town, the other side of town, and the same people. I don't know how to get the people out. I think we have made a concerted effort to try to change how we're doing that, but you can see tonight, there is one person from the public here. The rest are all integrally involved in the district. And it's sad, because this is, looking at this, and you see how much this school district gives our kids. It really is. I just wish, whenever anything is going bad, you will get a storm. But when anything is going good, you sit and we're talking to our district employees. And I think it's wonderful that they're here. Yes.
I was going to comment on Channel 77 at the end of the meeting, but since Craig brought it up, I think I'll do it at this time. It's more appropriate. You know, I try to get on to the, first of all, I want to thank the board for having more transparency, because I remember that there is a difficulty in persuasion to reach out in different media other than just the newspaper, basically. So I want to thank the board for consideration in that aspect. However, I myself have tried to get onto that particular site numerous times. I brought it up last month, I brought it up I think the month before. I'm unable to, and I would almost guarantee that if I asked everybody to raise their hands if they've been able to get onto that website, there would not be anybody in this audience that would say they were able to do so. And it's not because of lack of interest, it's because they just can't do it. Now, my suggestion is, and I need backing with the board, if I could get the support to ask the Community Relations Committee, of which I'm a member of, to speak directly with Sal Rockman, who's in charge of Channel 77, to give us a little overview of what he can present to the board in the way of getting this on Channel 77. What our interests are, what his possible problems might be, but at least to start some kind of conversation with Mr. Rockman to see if we can go from this media of which nobody can get onto to one where, as Mr. Miller stated, that you can relax at your home, turn on Channel 77, and everybody would have access to that, whether or not they have a computer or not. So if I can get consent from the board to go through with this, I would appreciate it.
Mark, as far as the unable to get on, I can't get on my iPad. I don't know why, but I can get on my PC. I don't know why that is, but, so to say nobody can get on is incorrect. I can't get on from my iPad, but my PC I can.
I don't know, I can't get on.
If it's recorded in Flash,
I don't know.
you can't do it on an iPad.
Okay. And the other thing is, as far as presentation like that should probably be something that goes through our committee.
That's what I said. I'm asking the board approval so that this can be discussed further in the community relations.
No, we don't need that approval. The committee can.
If you're all going to say we're not interested in it, then we're wasting his time and we're wasting our
Of course,
time.
though, because we don't know what he's gonna say. How can we all say?
Well, at least we can investigate it, but if everybody's gonna say we're not interested in it, I don't wanna have them come down. It's futile, it's foolish.
Elise,
I just wanted to say that there have been times when we've used Channel 77, where they came in to do groups, when we were building the schools, when we put up a budget presentation, graduation goes up there, so it's not that it's never, been used. It has been used. I don't know how much it's watched, because there's no, like with the computer, you can see how many clicks you get. If people are watching Channel 77 at a specific time when your programming is on, then you wouldn't know that somebody watched it. We don't have, like the little Nielsen boxes, you know what I mean? So that's harder to, putting it up there, I mean, they'll take this presentation that Bruce just made and they'll put it up even as a PowerPoint, or they'll even just the video from the webcam can probably be, just saved and given to them and put up as a presentation of the board budget. So it's not something that can't happen, you know what I mean? Filming the meetings, I mean, that was the discussion that we had. There was a host of people that didn't want grandstanding and, you know what I mean? So there were like other issues that would need to be ironed out.
That's what I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about.
Right, but I'm just saying, as far as like getting a budget presentation up there, I mean, we've done that before, and that can certainly be done, you know, every year.
Like,
The only thing, you know, and I think that there should be more on the schools on Channel 77. I think we all came together as a group, like we're supposed to do, and we ironed out what the whole board wanted as far as broadcasting meetings. And I think to go back to it now wouldn't be a good idea, because we just now started this, and the whole board made some people made a compromise on what they wanted and what they were willing to accept, and to keep going back to it, the same thing, puts board members in a really bad position, because we compromised and we came to a decision. As far as but I am for seeing options on Channel 77 to get other things up there, because I think we should be using the message board on Channel 77. I think we should be using other things. We could be steering people from Channel 77 to our website for the budget presentation, and et cetera, and stuff like that. The other thing I want to say, I want to reiterate what Cindy said. You know, when the people in this community are angry at us, we know it. We honestly know it, because this place, and we do have to move meetings to a bigger venue, like the all-purpose room here and stuff like that, because stuff like that is happening. I'm a firm believer that the fact that people aren't here for the budget meeting, okay, which was advertised as the budget meeting, the budget hearing, is because they're comfortable. No one likes paying taxes. I don't like paying taxes, but they're comfortable in the job that the schools are doing, especially the parents of this community. So that's
Jackie?
One, I agree with Mike. I think it's a testament to us that people aren't here, because it's true. People show up when they're angry. Two, if I'm not mistaken, now that PowerPoint and the budget is now public domain, so it could be put on Channel 77, that PowerPoint, and perhaps if that is given to Saul, maybe that could be a nice start, at least to get that on TV, so people can see it. If not, you know, I do look forward to healthy discussion in community relations to discuss and perhaps readjust what we want to do.
I just wanted to say, the candidates night that we had, was broadcast on Channel 77, and I could never find it, except maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I know it was on a lot, but maybe it just wasn't, you know, like a prime time thing, and I really wanted to see how it went.
What channel is 77 on Verizon Fiber?
it is.
Oh,
It's another
it is,
channel.
it's
And
40,
that's another
40,
thing.
49, I think.
49,
49.
It is 49.
49, yeah, because I have Verizon.
On Verizon, okay, thank you, because, okay, that's,
It's between 45 and 49. It's
Oh,
one
it's
of
like a local-
No, because they have Saddlebrook, Fairlawn.
but we're a little off topic.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
Do we have the approval to take it to community relations?
Well, listen, the way the system works with the committees, the committees set their own agenda, all right? And then we present it to the board. You generally don't ask the board, can we do this first? So, I mean, as the chair, I would defer to Mark, and I would agree that we could have this guy come in and then let him make his pitch, and then we'll make our pitch to the board if we agree. So I don't have a problem with talking to the guy. I mean, I'm glad to have him come in. He may have some great ideas that we haven't thought of. I'd be glad to listen to him.
By the way, it's channel 37 on
37?
37.
So, we'll talk about it after the meeting, we'll coordinate.
They switched, they confused.
All right, let's go back.
We did.
All right.
The Fairlawn High.
I think I want to go to, since we went from 5 to 7 to 8 on our agenda, I'd like to go back to 6. Mary?
Yes, okay. I have two committees that I was involved with this past month. I did attend the DEI committee, which, as you know, is the new evaluation procedure committee. And that meeting was primarily to set the necessary dates to bring this year to a conclusion. There were dates in April where everyone's artifacts had to be in and all the non-tenured observations had to be completed. Dates in May where their SGOs in all of the schools had to be completed and the final observations had to be completed, and dates in June. And so that meeting focused on wrapping up the year, hopefully a very productive year, hopefully a year that this evaluation process, we weathered it. So that was that meeting. The second meeting that we had was a personnel committee meeting, and I will be discussing the contents of that meeting in our closed session. So I just wanted to know that I wanted you all to know that we have all of that in closed session also.
Jeff?
Hi, student dialogue met this evening, and as always, the students were awesome. We had some healthy conversations and all the things that they're doing. For the public who is listening, at least know that they are having a talent show that they describe as late night and Jimmy Fallon-esque. That's their quote. They'll be giving out some great bags to the teachers between the 5th and the 9th for, I believe it's Staff Appreciation Week. What else? There is also a young lady is trying to begin a club called Athletes for Awareness. Okay, you want to take that then?
Yeah, only because I'm
Sure.
athletic chair,
Okay.
so when Elise came back from the meeting, she gave it to me, and I discussed it with Bruce, and I am going to call for an athletic committee meeting at our meetings agenda tonight, and invite not only the athletic committee, but also Parents for Athletics. And when I find out the meeting, I would like to have the representative from the student government in attendance at the meeting also. I think it's an absolutely fantastic
I do too.
She was planning on coming to your next Parents for Athletics meeting.
I haven't been regularly attending them, but yes, she should go. The board of Parents for Athletics, I'm gonna invite to the athletics.
There's just one more thing. Along with a representative from the town council, there's the Fairlawn Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse. We have been discussing lately a contest to help involve students, and what we came up with is they're going to make a 30-second commercial, a video, and we now actually have a prompt, and I'll just give those to you real quickly. Basically, they're going to make a 30-second video that's going to be judged by 7 people who are community leaders. And they're going to have 3 finalists, and those 3 finalists, their videos are going to be shown at the Fairlawn Street Fair at the the Prevention for Substance Abuse Alliance booth. At the end of that, winners will be chosen. All the money will be chosen, will be given by grant from the Alliance. There's a $100 gift card, a $50 gift card, and a $25 gift card. The students were all very clear in telling me they want all the gifts to have something to do with food and lots of it. So we will certainly accommodate that for them. The 3 prompts that we came up with, although they're able to choose their own, is addiction begins with blank and ends with blank. Your family, your neighbor, or is it you? And the third choice is, I'd rather have a friend mad at me than dead. or they can choose their own, use their own creativity. Perhaps maybe Fairlawn TV will put these commercials on. If I have to ask about that, because I don't know if waivers need to be to publicize them to students. That may be a situation, so I think we just need to discuss that and find out before this goes into the final draft on whether or not we're actually allowed to do that or not. But we look forward to some great videos and getting the student involvement, which is all, again, based on encouraging a change of behaviors that lead to addiction and to get people who are already addicted to work towards recovery and to know where to go and what to do. So that was it. The kids, they're fantastic, really. I mean, I'd say when they showed up to that meeting with representatives from the town council and from the town, the way they show themselves is really very mature, and it really made us look very good. So kudos to them. Great job. And also a shout out to Mr. Infante, who leads that group, who has encouraged them to be at these meetings. So, great job.
I wanted to say one more thing about I yielded to Jackson because
Okay.
he's so excited. But
I am.
I just
Sorry.
wanted to say one more thing about the student dialogue committee because I think it's fairly amazing that the junior prom is still in the gym and a bunch of the students were at the meeting tonight because they sent other representatives like from their committees because they were at the gym putting up the decorations for. I don't think there's very many schools around here that continue to do that to keep the costs down and keep it local and you don't have to drive anywhere to go to the prom. And it really does. If you could stop by and see what it looks like. I know on Saturday during the day.
It's this Saturday, isn't it?
A lot of the,
Saturday night, what time?
A lot of the parents.
They do have
Start decorating Friday afternoon.
Right.
Don't they open the gym for people to look?
Parents of students, sometimes like stop by to see.
What time-
No,
what time-
early,
what
like
time
in
does
the
the prom
afternoon,
start?
like 2 o'clock, they.
Prom starts at what? Open doors at 6:30. 6:30?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, because I thought that was great. As an
But
old
you're right.
daughter, I think
It's very,
it's amazing.
they're all going out to, hotels and catering halls.
And it just makes for, sort of like a camaraderie, there's just something about being on that committee and just having something to do with that whole process.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for those comments. Comments from the superintendent?
Okay, thank you. More comments. Run through this quickly and we'll get to the agenda. And first of all, I just want to share with everybody, March 11th, we actually held, Natalie headed it up, and we actually held a second kindergarten basic skills parent evening, which was very successful. I had stopped in and we had some supervisors and certainly our specialists there and answering the parents, and they were the feedback we get from the parents is a great program. So we'll see at the end on the assessment side. We presented the budget. Dr. Beam and Joyce Beam was with me. We presented the budget to Flays on March 19th, which I thought went very well. A great conversation. I love having that small audience because we really have a nice conversation that night. Joyce and I enjoyed that a lot. PTA Council got a nice meeting put together, and Shard is here to present. And I was able to attend and answer a lot of questions. And again, a lovely evening, and we're very fortunate. Such wonderful parents, and it's just class act. They're so into the schools and so easy to talk to that I really enjoyed that evening. Charlotte, thank you and your whole crew. Fairlawn High School musical was held, cabaret, phenomenal success. I was told that the producer of Cabaret on Broadway was in the audience, watching our cabaret, and had a conversation at the end with John. So phenomenal. They are now involved. They just applied, I saw, to Bucks County School Board, and then they're going to New York. And then if some of you should really think about doing this. Jim Marcel and I, each year we make take our wives, we buy tickets. We sit in the same row. But my wife loves it. We go down and we watch the paper mill. It's like being at a Tony. It's really worth going to if you would like to have a night out. Tickets, I guess, about $20 or something, right? And it's just great. You go down and you see all your kids being excited, they're on the stage, the students, and you know, there's opportunities. Some years we win a lot, some years, you know, we get nominated, but we don't win, but it's phenomenal. So that's coming up. We'll get you the dates when it comes up. Planetarium show, April 9th. A great show at the planetarium, was in the newspaper. Tracy, thank you. Nice article. And it was a great night to see that show. John was there, and Mike was there, and Elise was there. I'm going around the table. Elise was there, and Cindy.
No, I
No, you weren't
was not there, and I wanted to explain why I wasn't there, because I was there last
And
year.
Cindy's going to explain why she didn't come.
No, seriously, it's a little
We saw you
bit, I
going
wanted
across
to be
the ceiling.
there very badly, except that I got very badly motion sickness from the last presentation, and I really couldn't take it. I'm really, really sensitive, and it really bothered me. I couldn't focus.
Let me reword that. And Cindy was there in spirit.
Absolutely.
Yes, you are, Mr. Watson.
Just really didn't want me there.
Can you yield to me for one minute?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if the public realizes that, first of all, we have a planetarium.
Yeah, right.
And that is like one of 2 high schools, I think, in Bergen County.
Yeah, that's the northern-
So, the only high school around functioning. The program has absolutely just, it's great. And it's kept up, and as all 4 of the teachers that have run the planetarium over the years were there the night of the and it was really, it was like phenomenal. It was absolutely, positively phenomenal.
I want to thank Mr. Dorso for putting it together as our science subject supervisor, and certainly the teachers that we've had teach it and show up, so thank you, Ron. Bergen County Interim Executive County Superintendent, Mr. Rixford, has resigned. He is no longer the county superintendent, and he's going on to become a superintendent of a particular district, which I will not mention. I don't know if that's out there yet or not, but I don't want to be the first one. But anyway, we're looking for another county executive superintendent to work with. How unusual. On April 21st, Natalie and I attended a meeting at Paramus High School with about 18 districts who participated in the field test of Park. And we kind of sat down and, massaged each other's egos and held each other's crying towers. So we went through it and learned a lot, and we realized that we were not the only district that had the amount of problems that we had. And a lot of good came out of that. We had some reports, and we're going to send some stuff down to the state. I did share my email with the board, I think, right? The one I sent to the State Department about park testing. And I got a call back from the head guy saying, sorry, here you think it's not a field test, it's a beta site. And I said, well, we'll use it as a beta site. So we got through all of that nonsense. First, here's a suggestion, I'll throw it out. May 15th is our next board meeting. However, on the night of May 15th, we will have our very first Junior National Honor Society induction program at Memorial Middle School, first time. And we could give it a thought to have our meeting begin at 7, have the board come over to Memorial, hold the board meeting in Memorial Library that night. You go down from 7 to 7:30 and witness the very first induction of the middle school honor society, and then come back up at 7:30 and have a board meeting.
I think that's a
What
wonderful.
do you think of that? There you go. So we'll put that on and we'll get that worked out. It's easy for me to make those recommendations. Now I just give it to Joanne and she's got to make it work.
May I make comments about the park thing that
Sure.
we just talked about? I just want to personally thank you for having the vision to want the district to be participating in this, because it has given us a wealth of knowledge of what we have to do to make our children prepared. And I don't know what these other districts that are not participating are going to do, because we've witnessed and heard about a host of issues that you're very hard working at to resolve, and I thank you for having the foresight to bring us in the loop so that we can make our kids as prepared as possible.
You know, thank you, Cindy. One of the things which is great about being a superintendent, and there's a lot of things that are great about being a superintendent, but one of them is, you know, you can have this vision and then hand the work over to other people. So that's nice. I just give it to Natalie, and I give it to Joanne and John, and, you know, so I can continue having those visions. And I'm not smoking anything either. The next thing I'd like to ask Mr. Mazzadri, if you would just stand up, Ron, please, for a minute. Would you share, rather than me making a comment, would you share with the board about the Follett Award and where we stand and what that's all about with dynamic math and what we earned?
A number of years ago, we changed what the middle school looks like, and we put in dynamic math. And remember, that title came from you. We took the program, and Follett had a competition, a national competition, looking for innovative curriculum. And there was innovative curriculum at the elementary, middle, and high school. Two of my teachers at Memorial, Lisa Levchak and Daniel Novak, took it upon themselves to create a video and to put a pretty substantial document together to show off the program. And the first part of it was to top 10 schools in the competition would get $5,000 based on the voting. And Fairlawn was one of those top 10, so that was really nice. So there's a piece there of the 5,000. Then a panel of judges looked at all of the pieces that were handed into them, and they picked 4 top schools, one from high school, one middle school, one elementary school, one private school, and Fairlawn took the middle school position. So an additional $30,000 from Follett will be coming to the district. Those 4 schools now are up for an overall winner, and it'll be very interesting. We're hoping for that other 30. 3 of the schools, their presentations, they're being submitted, has to do more with library. We have to do more. Ours is different than the other 3. Ours is, if you want to call it STEM, well, that's really the basis of that course. So we're hoping that they're going to see that one as the winner, and we'll know that around May 15th. So very proud of the work that the staff has done over all these years, developing this program and continuing to develop it, and the support that we've got here. So very, very proud of what people have done with us.
So on the when we actually get all of that, we'll have that on the agenda to accept $35,000 for winning that grant. Maybe more. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Maybe more. Natalie?
I just also want to point out that faculty members, parents, community members all spent a good deal of time voting for this. So we really
And board members.
So like everybody, yeah, so I just couldn't have done that without the support
Plus,
of
the video
everybody.
was great.
The video was great.
loved it.
The video was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Last few items on the agenda, there are some motions. One, the first one you'll open up is a bittersweet motion. You'll see that, again, has to do with Mr. Mazzadri. 3 other resolutions. There's one on there I'm asking the board to pass on a Fair Funding Act, so you will have that. I put on a merit pay authorization with the exodus of our county superintendent. I want to make sure, we get those in. And also, we have written on a move from Bergen County superintendents on a salary cap motion, and that's there, which I'm hoping the board will approve, along with all the other districts in Bergen County. And there is a motion on there to approve the latest selection of our Bergen County Teacher Award winner program, who will have the pleasure of having lunch down at the Fiesta. Yes. And so that's on the agenda. Yes, it is. And that ends my comments for Easter.
We're going to go on to the superintendent's report. Motion number 1, retirement resolution, and I'm asking Jean Bassett to please read that resolution for us.
Whereas Mr. Ronald Mazzagli, having joined the Fair One teaching staff on September 1972 as a teacher of mathematics, and in more recent years was also supervisor of mathematics, has requested retirement at the end of the day on August 30th, 2014. And whereas Mr. Ronald Mazzagli, with concern and dedication, provided encouragement to students who worked tirelessly above and beyond his classroom duties to involve the students in a myriad of activities related to their individual growth and developments, as well as broadening their understanding and appreciation of the math curriculum. And whereas Mr. Ronald Mazzagli, during his 42-year tenure, has with compassion and understanding stimulated many students and has been an inspiration to his colleagues. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fair Lawn Board of Education publicly acknowledges the accomplishments achieved by Mr. Ronald Mazzagli during his tenure in Fair Lawn. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Fair Lawn Board of Education be directed to spread this resolution in full upon the minutes, and that the Superintendent of Schools forthwith dispatch a copy of this resolution to the Administrator, Mr. Ronald Mazzagli, being so honored.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Comments from the board? Mike?
All right, so we're getting to the point where one of the only people left in the district that were around when I was in school is retired. I remember learning BASIC on, what kind of computer was that?
We cranked it.
I don't, first of all, I give credit to all of our subject supervisors because the way you guys work together always amazes me. You're always as a group. Every time I see you, you're as a group, supporting each other. But what you've done, Ron, since you're here, with Mr. Dorso, in marrying the math curriculum and the science curriculum, and doing all that, I don't know of a better math department in the state than we have here, and you are surely going to be missed. And I wish you a lot of good luck in your retirement and peacefulness and everything, but I want to vote no.
What happens if we all do?
Thank you very much.
We really never get a chance, Ron, to directly talk to the retiree. They usually aren't here.
I have to come to maybe.
I will tell everybody some things about Ron. Ron and I both arrived in Fairlawn in 1972. We were a batch of new teachers, put on the bus and taken around town, and oriented, and I don't know what they were all saying. I did half of it wrong the first year. Ron became truly, he probably was, but I saw Ron as a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teacher. But I also saw Ron as a wonderful, wonderful colleague, a staff member, a teacher at the high school with me. And those were fun years in the 70s at the high school. There was a lot of camaraderie. We were all young. A lot of us were not married. It was lots of fun. I saw Ron become a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful supervisor. I know Ron is a wonderful husband and father. I know this secondhand because my daughter babysat for Ron and always talked about what wonderful children he had, and we know that doesn't come from no place. So yes, I was really knocked off my seat when I saw this, but by the same token, Ron, retirement is wonderful, and I am so happy for you. And I just want to thank you for all the times that you were just a wonderful teacher, colleague, friend, the whole 9 yards, It's been a nice run. Thanks, Ron.
I also wanna, I wanna take a piece of what you did. And it's, 2 dirty words, everyday math. When everyday math first came out, it was, oh my goodness, what are we doing? I know for a fact that other districts did not implement everyday math in the same schools. Different schools were doing it. You had the vision and you brought everyday math and made it a success, whereas in other places it was a disaster. That's a great visionary, a great, just, I compliment you on it. I wish you the best, and I really will miss you. Thank you for 42 years. Jeff.
I graduated high school in 1988. Although I did not have you as a teacher, always knew who you were. My friends still remember you, by the way, in the most positive ways. What I really want to say is, people like me moved back to Fairlawn. We moved back to Fairlawn because of its school system, because we know this is where we want our children to be educated. And I think having you here 42 years as a teacher, then a supervisor, and then a supervisor is a very nice piece of symbolism as to what the true foundation of an excellent school system is. So I wanted you to please accept that compliment, and although we don't know each other personally, I do wish you the best of luck and happiness, and enjoy yourself. Send a postcard or something.
Elise.
I'm like speechless. I don't even know what to say. I'm happy that you're retiring for the reasons that you need to retire. I'm sad for all the students that won't have you. I know the influence you had on my kid, specifically, who I'm talking about. And when I saw this yesterday, because I was in the building and there was like a sign up, and I called him, and he said he can't. He can't retire. There's too many children that need to have his expertise. So I just wanted to share that and tell you, I for one, because the dynamic math thing, when you just said that whole thing came back to me at the education committee. We're gonna have math 1 and math 2. Like, it just came back to me. It's like, you can't call it that. And just the robotics, everything that you started, I've been here, not as long as some of the people that have been here, but just how many times you came and presented to that committee all these like innovations and crazy ideas that you had. And just even when we started with the defining the groups at like the middle schools to move them up through the math, because that's really important and people don't realize how important some of that is, for the future. Like we were speaking before about the honor societies. Like, I never realized that, that's just the beginning. Like, to start that at the middle school level and move it through the high schools, and to add all the honor societies and the mathematics honor society and things like that. And then when you go to college, when you major and minor in different subjects, if you do really well, there's honor societies that come with, it's almost like LinkedIn, because you sort of get connected to people in your field, and there's jobs available, and it all starts with someone like you who really has that, like you said, like that vision. So I'm like really sad right now, so I'm gonna stop.
Natalie. Ron, I've had the honor of working with you for 11 years, and the past 2 as your supervisor, obviously. But I wanted to just bring up something that nobody else brought up, which is the business part as well. So you've done fabulous things for the math department, like we heard, but we've given you other duties over the years, and you accepted them graciously. And what you have not done to build up that business department, and I think about culinary classes and accounting classes that are just bursting at the seams. And so I wanted to thank you for that too. I think one of the greatest gifts you have is your vision, and it's what makes everything you do so successful. You know where you want to go, you know what that end result is, and that's talent, and I don't think everybody has that, and that's what's made you so successful here. I'm really going to miss working with you, and I wish you so much luck, and I hope that you face your retirement with the enthusiasm and passion with which you did everything here at Fairlawn. So,
I'm going to have you, and then I would like to go to the public.
On a little bit of a lighter side, something about Ron, and going back to when Mary and Ron came here in the 70s, let me share that back in the 70s, Ron beat out all the best disco dancers we've ever had in this district, including John Travolta, I think. So Ron was a great disco king back in the 70s. Just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. But to get serious, you know, the soul of a good school district is its curriculum. And Ron, I can remember sitting with Ron and he said, Bruce, have you seen the path? Now, as you all know in here, in this room, I believe in a program we developed called Pathways to help parents understand what is the 4-year direction that my child is going to take, and not year by year think about what courses they have to do. And Ron came down and he said, I have to show you this, and he came down and he showed me what he put together as possible pathways for mathematics students going up from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then all the way up to, at that time it was BC Calculus, and now you have multi. And I was extremely impressed, and that goes to show you, again, his thought process, his vision, etc. All the time that Ron has been here, he has consistently worked to fulfill the 2 overarching goals of this district. One is continuous improvement in a quality fashion, and the other is success for all the kids that he was responsible for within his department. And that is something that I believe is an outstanding dedication by any subject supervisor, principal, teacher, etc. As good as the soul as curriculum is to the district, for a superintendent, the soul is hiring or working with the very best people. And although I didn't hire Mr. Mazzadri, because then I'd be his grandfather, I had the pleasure of inheriting Mr. Mazzadri. And he has been one of the outstanding educators that I have had the pleasure of working with, supporting, and learning from. So I think the biggest thank you I could give you, Ron, is a standing salute.
Mr. Marcello.
I'm going to stand up just because I don't want to have my back to Ron. I'm going to come from a little different perspective, and that's as the leadership group of the district. Ron is a leader among the leaders in this district. He really has. He's a glue. You know, what you said, Mike, about everybody always being together. Over the last 12 years, we've had quite a turnover in the supervisory ranks, and there's been a lot of people coming through. Ron has been the glue that's held that group together. He mentors every one of our supervisors right now. He's an amazing mentor to them. What he's done in the department, in the high school, I can speak about the high school. In the high school, B wing from the gym down towards Fairclough is that's his. We have the math area down there. I cannot believe what an impact he has on that end of the building, and how much he cares about our kids, this building. It's like he was born in Fair Lawn High School. Ron is really, he's got one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've ever met. We've dealt a lot about making decisions about individual kids and about their futures and about where they're going to go, what's going to happen to them, and the decision we make is going to really change their lives in one way or another. He has shown nothing but amazing compassion towards individual kids in every step of the way. I've never worked with a more compassionate, more passionate person. I hold Ron up to me. He's the most outstanding educator I have ever worked with in any district, and it's just we're going to get to say nice things at his retirement party too. But I just think it's really important to know from the perspective of people who work with Ron on on his level, he's been a leader. He's taught every single one of us, no matter how smart we think we are, or what our position is, he's taught us what it means to be a leader. The PLC, Bruce and I have had this conversation so many times. The PLC initiative we had, really a lot of it is based on what Ron had already done in his department over the years. And he's really been an amazing administrator, supervisor, person, and an amazing part of Fairlawn High School. So I thank you on behalf of Fairlawn High School and myself. Thank you.
Anyone else? Take a roll call. Did you want to say something, Ron?
Yeah, real quick. Stuff like that, but we'll get it posted. Yeah, this is a hard move for me. A happy move, but a difficult one. I have to say, I'm so pleased to work here all these years. The board has allowed me to explore, to do the things I want to do. So having the staff around me makes me look good. I have just wonderful people that I've worked with all this time. And I'm a real pain in the neck, and they put up with me. So I'm just appreciative to having been here all these years, and I look forward to the retirement, but I will miss this greatly. So I'll leave it at that right now. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to do a voice vote. All in favor?
No.
Opposed? I think we're both. We vote twice? Okay, going on to the superintendent's report. Item number 2, attendance at conferences, conventions, and workshops. Number 3, resignation of certificated personnel, 2013-14 school year, I will not repeat the year. Approval of leave, 4, approval of leave of absence without pay, non-certificated personnel. 5, approval of appointment of certificated personnel, 2014-15 school year. 6, approval of leave of absence without pay, certificated personnel. 7, approval of leave of absence without pay, child rearing, certificated personnel. Number 8, return of certificated personnel from child rearing leave, 2014-15 school year. Number 9, extended leave of absence without pay, child rearing, certificated personnel, 2014-15 school year. Number 10, approval of certificated day-to-day substitutes and bedside home instruction personnel. Number 11, approval of non-certificated day-to-day substitutes. 12, approval to amend leave of absence without pay, child rearing, certificated personnel. 13, resolution to disenroll pupil. 14, approval of extracurricular trips. 15, approval of HESPA remediation. 16, approval of changes to New Jersey ASK academies. 17, approved payment of MSU and ER dues. 18, bedside home instruction. 19, school violence / vandalism and harassment / intimidation / bullying reports, PL 2010 C.122. 20, approval of resolution Fairlawn funding plan.
Fair school.
I'm sorry, did I say Fairlawn?
Yeah.
Wow. Approval of resolution Fair School funding plan. Sorry. 21, approval of 2014 Fairlawn summer school. 22, approval of required related services for classified students for the 13-14 school year. 23, approval of bedside home instruction. 24, approval of after-school workshops. 25, approval of new scholarship for children of 3 members. 26, payment authorization for superintendent's merit pay. 27, approval of appointment of non-certificated hourly personnel. 28, approval of music enrichment program, summer 2014. Number 29, approval of selectees, Bergen County Teacher Educational Service Professionals Recognition Program. And the addendum that we have approval of resolution, elimination of superintendent salary cap. Can I get a motion to approve items 2 through 29 and the addendum?
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the board? Mike?
Couple things. First of all, thank you, Bruce, for putting on the two resolutions I had asked about at least one of them, and I'm in favor of doing more of them as they come up. For number 29, I want to congratulate all the teachers and professionals that won, that got selected as the Bergen County Teachers Professional Recognition Program. As someone that has gone to that luncheon in the past, it's really a fantastic thing. And unfortunately, when I got it, I didn't get the honor of sitting with Superintendent Watson, but you know.
But we remember that.
But congratulations to them, and thank you to Flea for offering another scholarship, because that is the best night of the year for me, is to go to the scholarship awards.
I agree.
I don't,
Yes, with regard to item 29, Elise and John and I were the board representatives that sat on this committee, and it was a very difficult decision because there were many teachers nominated from most of the schools, and we had a discussion and a lot of, it was difficult because so many good teachers were nominated. On item number 17, I'm happy to see that we're still part of the Montclair State University Network for Educational Renewal. We have been members for quite a long time, I know that, and I have felt all over the years that it's a very, it's well worth it, and that we have gotten some very good things from it and so forth. So that's it. I'm just happy to see it there. Nothing else.
Jeff?
Hi, start with 13, the resolution to disenroll. I have a question. Do we at any time try to recover any funds from these people? And while it may not be financially worth it, is it at least worth it for us to throw an elbow or two to say, listen, if you do this here, you know, perhaps you should choose somewhere else or some other district to steal from, because if you do it here, we're taking you to court. Because if they get away with it, they're like, okay, they'll just do it somewhere else, but you can get away with it in Fairlawn. They'll just kick you out. Why don't we just, we're not only kicking you out, but we're charging you.
Yeah. You know, years ago, when we first did the centralized registration at Change, I think we removed like 140 students that 1 year. And since then, we've had very few. We've done a lot of good policing. People always sneak by somehow. People are pretty crafty at times. So to answer your question, we have given a lot of thought and conversation over the years to who do we go after legally. And we did, years ago, we did go after one, I remember. Most of the time, we get them out and we just get them out. To try to recoup some tuition from them, put a lien or a garnishment or something like that, it's pretty difficult to collect anyway, and then we're spending more money on my friend here, the attorney, to do those things. So
This ought to be a deterrent.
yeah, well, I think we're pretty much a deterrent when we go face to face with them, and we get them on the agenda.
All right. The other thing is just want to say something about the eliminations superintendent salary cap. Whether or not anyone believes there should be an amount attached to a superintendent's pay, to me, this is not about the amount, it's about the autonomy. If the state feels they could do this, what is next? This is a really, really, really bad precedent to set politically, and I'm really hoping everyone votes in favor of this again.
I'm in agreement with what Jeff said regarding number 13, and I just wanted to ask Paul, are they signing some kind of papers that stipulate that if they are not telling the truth, there's fraud involved?
Yes.
If there's fraud involved, cannot the police get involved with this? So can't we just forward it to the police? Do we need an attorney for that, or do we
No,
just
we-
go for it? Because this action,
But
I don't
normally we
think
do
is
have
going
to make a complaint, the district has, someone in the district has to pursue a complaint against them. Typically, it's the police, oftentimes will not do that without somebody here making a complaint, but we can do that, and you don't need an attorney.
Well, I'm one that would say, let's make a complaint, because I'm in agreement with Jeff. This has happened year after year, whether it be one case, two cases, or whatever. We need to make a stand, as Jeff said, that this is not going to happen in Fairlawn. Take your child somewhere else where maybe they'll be less lenient and less careful than we are. But we should do something stronger than just disenrolling these people. So, I don't know what we do with that, but I'm one for taking it to the police.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just give you some quick little synopsis. Each case is so different to itself. Sometimes we find out that the family moves out of town in January, we find out in March. To go after tuition doesn't make sense, as you know, you're there, but there's still a 21-day rule by law, there's commissioner appeal, I mean, there's nothing. If we find, and we have in the past, we find where there's a family who doesn't belong here and they're here for a year and a half, then I think that's the one that you want to, make that ticket for. Punch the ticket, go get them, and let's see what we can get. But most of the time, we're picking up people that are here 1 month, 2 months, and we're finding it out and we're confronting them.
But I agree with you, I think that this
And
is
so
not.
we gotta pick the right case, I think, to go and follow.
Yeah, but if I can just say, if this child is a sophomore or so, he may just extend it to.
Well, not now, we can't.
No, but I'm saying if you're not picking it up.
Oh, yeah, if you're not picking it
So,
up.
but these people may see it as a deterrent to never even try to do it if they see that there are extenuating circumstances that are. That's what I'm saying, and I believe that's what Jeff is saying. Don't give them the opportunity.
Okay.
Comments from the public on items 1 through 29 in the agenda, 2 through 29 in the agenda. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Antonelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mrs. Watkins?
Yes.
Joanne, would you like to make any comments before we do the business administrator's report? A couple of things, as John, I think John brought up the energy order before, we are still about that, and we are very close to getting final results on that. So as soon as we have that, we'll report and we can have a presentation. The preliminary findings, the company, the auditor is just shocked at how what we are in the more proactive projects that we have done. Also, in your package, if you haven't seen it, Sandy, in a checklist of the events that we on one way or the other, so we can see the recommendations and such. And the first item on my agenda is the approval for the budget. I just want to reiterate what Bruce said. Thank all of the administrators, central office administrators that worked so hard to put this together with us. Thanks to the board for your patience and your cooperation of committee meetings. And especially to John DePaola, who really pulls this whole document together on so many levels, with a lot of other documents that the board and the public don't really see because it's not really something that, but counting off of our submission to the state, John's pointed out more than one error on the part of the state and the software that we use, and the corrections are solely done because he's identified what the problems are, so he really had it wrapped up. And I was in that seat for 16 years trying to pull this all together, and I know what's involved, and I just wanted to say kudos to John once again, and to all the people who support him through the process. And to Sandy also, thank you, who did a lot of the presentation materials for the committee. We really all work well together, and I think this year especially, we had a lot of challenges, but I think it came together really well.
I'd like to thank you for all your hard work and dedication, and on behalf of the board. I'm going to do one by itself, and then we'll go on the rest of it. So, action item 1, approval of proposed 2014-2015 school budget.
Second.
Comments? Please.
One comment. First of all, I think you all know that when it comes to budgets, I think I know what I'm talking about. So let me first publicly say one more time that I'm going to reiterate maybe something Joanne said, but I'm going to include Joanne. I think we've got the best financial duo between Joanne and John in the state. I've worked with a lot of people in the finance areas, especially in public schools. I can't remember anybody that comes to mind that understands how to work with these budget documents in the state as well as these two professionals. And they make my life very easy because all I do is ask questions now. I don't have to do the work anymore. I just ask the questions and they get me the answers. But I don't want to overlook the role that Lisa plays in the personnel side, which is huge and complex, to say the least, as it is in education with Natalie. Phenomenal central office. You top it off with Joyce Dean. I couldn't have a better central office team. I also want to say thanks again to my principals. We've given a lot of kudos to the subject supervisors, and they deserve it. But I've got the best team of principals around, and they are phenomenal. And I just want to thank them and their support and what they accomplish day in and day out with children and faculty and parents and education and problems. They're terrific. And this budget supports everything I think a district wants. We've got it. And that's why I'm hoping the budget passes unanimously. That's my request. Thank you.
Any other comments? Comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call on 1. Yeah, we'll do one more on 1.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2, acceptance of gifts. Number 3, bills payable payroll. 4, bills payable. 5, transfers, March 2014. 6, board secretary report, March 2014. 7, board treasurer's report, March 2014. 8, discards. 9, approval of Fairlawn Community School child care programs and fee schedule for the 2014-15 school year. 10, attendance at New Jersey School Boards Association and annual workshop 2014. I just ask when we vote on that to just abstain on ourselves. Number 11, approval of Land Associates to provide architectural services for the replacement of windows at various locations throughout the district. 12, Fairlawn High School earned interest proposal 2013-14. 13, approval to nominate board member John Mancinelli for the New Jersey School Board Association's Archie F. Hay Award. Yes, hold on, can I have a motion to approve 2 through 13?
Second.
Mary?
Okay, first on item number 13. It was really my honor to be able to do the paperwork on nominating John. And I'm always, I know, and it makes me mad. It makes me mad that this is about the 3rd time we're nominating John, because I want to put a little note at the bottom, open your eyes please, and read it more carefully. However, I'm impressed every time I read through all the information, and it's just an honor. I also want to add that we did not need a resolution, but we did have unanimous approval of the board to nominate John also for the Janet
Lobsenz.
Yeah, whatever, award, and you have to be a certified board member to be nominated. And of course, John is now a board leader, so I'm really hoping that, that one of these two awards John will win, because I feel he certainly deserves it.
I'm sorry, any?
No, I have another, number 12. Joanna, I'm sorry, I left my notes at home and I don't recall. For number 12, was this particular budget item cut from last year?
This is not a budget item, this is, from coming from student activities, it's cut in half from last year, so yes.
And we provide, obviously, for this account, is what I'm saying.
Not from tax.
No, but we provide.
We oversee it.
Okay, yes.
Yes,
We provide the actual monies, who's paying for it?
No,
It's
the
student fundraisers throughout history, really. It's interest that student activity accounts earn throughout the year.
Okay.
And annually, the high school, any school really is able to request.
Okay, well, I was kind of disheartened that there are going to be cuts in this account. And I would think that we should afford these particular clubs for the students who are participating in them, as we have for former students. And I'm sure that we could find, I think I added it up, it was $10,000 or whatever, it was cut in half. I think that we could find somehow, somewhere in our $80+ million budget, an additional $10,000 to reinstate this particular money.
Yeah. Can I just explain something? I think Mark is missing a point here. Let me see if I can. These particular accounts are not part of the budget, they're outside the budget. So we have a set called student activity account, separate set books that run through our budget with our auditor, but they're kept through with the schools and the school treasurer, etc. The money in those accounts has been raised by all the student clubs. It's money that comes from fundraisers, magazine sales, ticket sales, all kinds of things that goes in. That money gets invested by Joanne, and the interest it earns drops to a bottom line. So let's say in 1 year we earn $30,000. We would then say to them, okay, we have $30,000, make your request and we'll distribute it throughout. Well, as the financial economic times have gotten worse and we've gone from 6% earnings to 0.75, that pot has shrunk. That's why there's a cut. It's not that we're cutting them, it's that we don't have the money to give them anymore. Next year, we'll probably get cut in half again. See what I'm saying? That's what you were missing, okay? So,
Okay.
that's why.
But also, just let me, I just want to add to that. About 7 years ago, our auditor pointed out that we needed to we used to work, that it all dropped to the bottom line in the aggregate, the interest for all of the money in 1 lump. About 7 years ago, the law changed, we were audited. Well, the accounting rules changed. We had to apportion the money based on each club on an annual basis, actually monthly.
Right.
So the money that they are drawing from earned interest no longer earned interest is still the old money.
Right.
And because we don't get interest at all, I mean, to
That's
speak
right.
on,
You got nothing.
going back to what Bruce said, it's not continuing to grow.
Right.
So the amount that's available each year, I mean, if we keep doing the amount that we were doing, it'll be gone within the next 4 years. We won't, I know we won't have any more. So that's why I asked high school to go back and cut it in half. Maybe we'll get 8 years out of it.
Right.
But it will eventually go away unless something very different
The
happens
interest rates are
in the economy. The interest rate is generated, and it is all student money. Jeff?
Just wanted, number 2, to thank the Mills PTA, the Sunrise Rotary Club of Fairlawn, Dana Tartaglia, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Elaine Harris and Carol Coker for their generous gifts for various things in our school district. Also, that audit, the energy audit, what committee was that going through?
Well, it started with shared services because we were doing that as a result.
Probably gonna go to building.
But
Yeah,
all the
building.
buildings in
Can you
Brown.
please send me a copy on all that, please? For the things that are out?
It's not,
Are you on buildings?
Yes.
It's not finished yet, it's
Okay.
in draft.
The report
When it's
is not
finalized, it will
completed.
definitely be sent home. Yeah, it's not finished, but it's about.
Got it. Let's roll.
Any other board comments? Comments from the public on 2 through 13? Joe?
Yes, on number 12, I just want to thank the board for the approval of the earned interest, because although it's only 10, 15 clubs on here, every student is affected by it, so it's a great way that we divvy it up and everything, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes, but abstain in my own name on the
Mrs. Franklin? Yes. Ditto.
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 Staying on my own
Ditto, the
name.
abstention.
Mr. Klein?
Number 10, yes, however, I'd like to abstain on Jeffrey Klein.
Mr. Mancinelli?
yes, on everything but 10, I'll abstain on my name, and I'll abstain on 13.
Anton, seriously?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Yes, except number 10, abstain on my name.
Mr. Swindell?
Yes, number 10, abstain on my name.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes, I'll be 10 and stay on my name.
Ms. Rockman?
Yes, staying on my name on 10. I'm going this year.
Third abstention.
I'm sorry. At this time, we'd like to have public comments. Anybody from the public about anything on your heart and soul? Just ask you to state your name.
How do you do? My name is Rich Seibel. I'm a lifelong Fairlawn resident. In class of 1975, I put 2 kids through the high school also. We're very proud of them. But I have a homework assignment for you folks, and I hope you're up to the task. When you go to your facilities tomorrow, I just want you to take a look at the condition of the American flags outside your schools, in your playgrounds, and all around, because they're in pretty rough shape. And next month is going to be Memorial Day, and we have Fleet Week coming up. And I want you to remember that many of the kids who pass through your doors, who go to school in Fairlawn, also someday may end up wearing a uniform for the United States of America. And when you see a flag that's tattered, and when these kids come home from maybe serving overseas, maybe they want to go to the high school or down by Memorial, visit some old teachers, to see a flag that's in tatters is a little discouraging after you've basically done your service. So I just want you to remember that. And also, last year there was an issue with the flagpole at Sasso Field. We got the flagpole painted, but nobody ever put a flag up there. I don't know. I would think if you have a flagpole, you'd put a flag up there. I remember you helped me with that. That was very, because you have a brand new field and they had this cruddy old flagpole.
I'm not aware of that, we'll check it.
There's 2 flagpoles there. I have a feeling the reason is because there's no lanyard.
There's no light,
No
so
light.
you have to take it up and down every day, there's no light.
Oh, that's what it is, so we're going to put it on an electric line.
Yeah, there's 2 poles there, one's for the state flag, one's for the.
Right. Okay.
So,
We'll look into that. We'll see if we can find out.
understand, our country's still at war. These kids were 7 years old when it started, and now they're leaving for, a lot of kids will be leaving the high school in a couple of months to go to boot camp. And
Thank you very much.
thank you. That's your homework.
I think we all agree.
My son is in the military. Yes, I do. Hear what you're saying.
Semper Fi.
Okay. we have public comments. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Old business. Yeah, we're gonna do dates. We're gonna do dates after new business. Is that okay? New business, I have a couple of things. The superintendent's evaluation, has everyone completed their evaluation? Good boys and girls. I also have, the board self-evaluation is now online. Please, go online and complete our board eval. When do we discuss that?
That we'll do a workshop.
Oh, okay,
You know,
right.
part of one of our board retreats, you'll bring that.
Now,
We have one coming up, oh yeah.
can I just ask your guidance on something, Mike? The superintendent's evaluation, now that it's complete, Al will advise me that it has been completed?
Well, you probably have to call Al again.
No, I have emailed him.
And then we set a meeting to discuss it.
We set a regular meeting to discuss
A
it. Would that be
meeting,
some, a meeting?
a closed meeting,
A
a
closed
closed
meeting, right.
meeting.
But is that something that we would set a meeting for tonight since they're all done?
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Thank you. Thank you for your guidance.
I just spoke in there, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Superintendent's evaluation.
Keep up. Also, when we do our meetings, I received a letter from Bob Gordon, who would like to come come and talk to the board. So instead of having him at a public meeting, I'd like to set up like a work session type thing, have him come in and.
Can we do that the same night that we do, there's other stuff that we have to meet with Bruce about? As opposed
The
to,
referendum?
You want to talk about
yeah, I mean, like
elementary school?
piggyback it, because I think we're gonna end up with a lot of meetings right now.
Cindy, what is he discussing?
Well, I'll read the letter if you would indulge me.
Yeah.
It's not that long. On behalf of Assemblyman Tom Eustace and Joe Lagana, I'm writing to request a brief meeting with your governing body. The purpose of the meeting is to strengthen communication between the office, discuss any relevant priorities or concerns you have, and share ideas regarding how we can work most cooperatively for the benefit of our constituencies. We would welcome the opportunity to attend one of your meetings or meet with you at another mutually convenient time. We are happy to accommodate your schedule, contact blah, blah, blah. Discussing issues among colleagues in an open setting is a productive way to address the needs of our community. We look forward to having an opportunity to meet with you sometime in the near future. Thank you for the consideration and contact us at any time. I'm just going to ask that when we set this meeting, would you be kind enough to send a letter?
I think that could even be the night that, whatever night we could discuss the superintendent's thing, to piggyback with that, because that won't take a whole night to do.
Okay.
Well, it could.
What's the superintendent?
Bruce. The superintendent's evaluation.
My stuff.
We all know the little plug you put in our packet.
Yeah.
It's the strong model.
Why
We're using the
Bruce,
strong
why did that
model.
little plug that you put in the
No, I
packet,
think that's an.
why does it look like an adult's handwriting?
You know, I noticed that it was a little too
Let's-
neat.
Let's look at what the meetings are.
Let's get some dates. All right.
All right,
I don't share it.
Unless you have nothing to
No, I don't, that was the other,
Okay.
that was the only, I also, received an invitation, real quick, from Columbia Bank. I'm going to attend a, business reception, for Jim Craig, who was a member of the 1980 gold medal winning
I
US
love
Olympic.
Jim Craig, he's a bully.
Yes, the US Olympic hockey team. So it's going to be the 12th of May. I was given an invitation from 5:30 to 9 o'clock at Macaluso's.
Oh, that's the Columbia dinner?
Yes, it's the Columbia dinner. I don't know, I was.
I think you'd like to go.
Natalie,
suspect
Natalie wants your
Nice
ID
dinner. Cindy,
We have a lot of meetings.
Cindy, nice dinner.
No, I'm definitely going, and I'm gonna see if I can bring my vice president.
See if she can bring a date.
Oh.
So you got me in to see Christie, so I'm gonna see if I can get him in to see Craig. Athletic committee meeting, Jim, I would like to make an athletic committee meeting. We have a couple of items. I wanted to talk about this Athletes for Awareness from the student government. I talked to Bruce, I think it's really a great thing.
Yeah, when we talked to the kids tonight, I thought it was a great idea. They're presenting it as a club,
Right.
so. But I told them it should be, be good to involve parents for athletics.
Right.
Because some of the things they want to do, raise money, involve raffles and things like that. Parents Athletics has a license, so.
Correct.
They can do.
I would like to hear more about it and have parents for athletics.
Yeah, I told Anastasia, who's the girl that's
What's her name?
that I would contact Susan and set up so that they can meet with Susan and the committee,
Okay. Would you would you be willing to get back to me and give me some dates? I don't want to do a date tonight
You
if
athletic
it's
committee
not.
meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I also wanted to discuss the follow-up on the Athletic Hall of Fame issue with the case. I know that there's been discussion, but I would like to have it, talked about, so I can go back to them.
Yeah.
And by the way, they did pick a male and a female recipient of their scholarship the other night. Mary?
Are you ready for dates?
Yeah, well.
Okay, so, April 30th at 7 o'clock is custodial negotiations. Custodial group, please mark it down. May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd is the board retreat. This is essential that all 6 of the board members attend. We will not get credit. Remember, 3 people cannot attend this one.
I can't attend it.
I got
3
off
people
work.
cannot attend this one because it's going to be on the teacher negotiation. So the 3 people cannot attend. Al got them to waive the requirement so that 6 people attending, we will get credits.
What is it
So-
usually, 7? What is it usually,
It has to be 7, but this time, we need, because it's, so if there's anybody that thinks they're gonna have a conflict with that 3rd, I mean, we gave that date many times.
You should check with Susan.
Yes, well, I actually don't know. Because I think there's always gonna be somebody, so
I got off
hopefully,
work, so.
you know what I mean?
Not watching the screen.
Take that word, okay. And the other thing is, we have May 8th, 7 o'clock, secretary's negotiations, and I'm done. Right?
And that's gonna be at Memorial,
7 p.m. at
correct?
Memorial.
At Memorial, and that's at 7, not
And May
7:30.
29th is the flea dinner for anybody going. Okay.
Yes, so you can do dialogue on a different night.
I need
But they're definitely
a
getting on board.
policy meeting in
I'll
May.
email you and see what you think.
That's all right.
You need a policy meeting. May 9th, I don't know what you
About the 12th.
The 12th, how about the 12th?
Of what?
Policy,
On June 12th.
May 12th.
May 12th is that dinner for Macaluso's that me and my date are going to.
Oh. May 12th?
Would you mind missing?
You're gonna be on?
I wouldn't mind missing policy.
You're gonna be on?
No, it's that dinner that she's going to for the Columbia Bet.
Oh, okay. So
No,
that's no
but-
good for policy.
No, that's not true.
We could have 7 people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, John. What time, 7?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
You said there was a date already for the that scholarship?
Ask Jim.
June
Mr. Himself?
The high
June
school.
10th.
June 10th? What time does that start?
7 o'clock.
So,
That's at the high school, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Auditorium.
On May 12th.
We need community relations.
That's it.
We gotta finalize our.
What was May 12th?
What's his goal?
Jim, graduation.
I might not be here. Cindy and I.
Graduation.
No, but I'm not piggybacking again on any of your.
It's Tuesday, right? Tuesday night?
Well, last time it was an extra hour and a
It's a
half.
draft.
Yeah. Are we gonna do a work session? I wouldn't mind putting it before the work session.
Oh.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but we have other stuff to do.
Whenever you see that something.
Well, I waited for you last time, and you can wait for me this time.
What time do we get to? What's the priority?
Right.
Is that a priority?
What are the meetings that we still have to see?
Yeah, what else do you have to do? Wait. So many people talking.
What's up?
Superintendent's evaluation.
Superintendent's evaluation, but
The
isn't that,
meeting
don't we
with the
piggyback that
legislature.
with everybody else's?
The non-bargaining
Yeah.
personnel.
Yeah, we throw that all at the same time.
Well, I was gonna talk about, we're gonna talk about.
That's
yeah.
closed session, that's closed
Well,
session.
Well, you can say it, so,
the legislators wanting to see us.
Okay, well, the way I look at it is this, you've got the personnel, non-bargaining personnel, including Bruce, that's one night,
Closed session.
closed session. Then you've got the legislators and the work session, we can do that in one night.
Okay,
And
so that's two.
somewhere we gotta throw in public relations. Now, how long is the work
Part
session?
of the problem you're having is that it's April 24th now, and the next meeting is May 15th. So there's not that many weeks between.
Well, I don't care if we do it after May 15th.
The personnel is essential, we can't,
Yeah,
that
we
would not
can
be
do-
scheduled for and sooner rather than later. It can be in May, but we have to get that personnel done.
You could.
yeah, we can go earlier, we can get it. Which we have
Oh,
done.
sorry.
No, but when does the superintendent, isn't there a date on the superintendent evaluation?
Yeah, there is.
What's that date?
I think it's now May. I think it's June, May? Well, it was April 1, it's now May 1.
So could
So
I
we have to
set,
do it like next week. We
May
can't.
1, it's
how
only
about
the
June,
24th.
is June 2nd too late for that personnel meeting?
No, you mean for the non-bargaining? No.
June 2nd on a Monday, I call it.
Okay, but we have another issue, because we can't piggyback the superintendent's evaluation with it, because it needs to be in before that.
I think it's May 1. It's
If
either
it's
May
May
1 or June 1,
if
but
it's
they
May 1,
moved it with
May
the,
1 is 3 days away.
You know, I'm sorry, but
well, it used to be
I don't know
April.
what meeting you're talking about. We all fill that in privately.
And we talk about it so that the board
Oh,
president
I got
could
you.
make the evaluation.
I
But
understand
we
what
always
you're
done that
saying
after the
now.
personnel board.
No, it could be done the night of June 12th, which is the board meeting, because when do you
Maybe
have to be
it's not.
evaluated by?
He doesn't know.
No, when do you have to be told?
Well, well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna fire me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so if we establish that, then you can have it anytime you want. You can have it in June, I
I'm
waive
still
it.
calling June 2nd for
So
a,
June 2nd.
for a meeting for the non-bargaining. I'm calling it for 7 o'clock. No, 7:30?
No, it's only me personally that have a problem with Mondays, but I will get the night
Well,
off.
I could, let's
No, no,
see how
no, no.
things go. It's
No,
gonna
the
change.
policy of the board is the meetings are Mondays.
Yeah,
So,
this is
and
Thursday.
Thursdays. No,
I could
no.
change it, we could do it on
I will get
June 5th, which is a Thursday.
All right, so June 5th for the personnel.
June 5th, I'll change it,
Yeah, that's
7
fine.
o'clock, okay? And it's gonna be both personnel,
June
and it's
5th,
gonna be
Thursday.
included superintendent, so then Cindy can even after that, that's fine. We all have, we talk and then we do our
And then Cindy,
paper.
and then Cindy does the paper and.
Oh, but we still do our paper.
And,
Yeah.
and then we'll go and get all the non-bargaining
I got it.
paperwork
But
lined up and
does
stuff.
Yes.
Al provide for us?
Yes. He'll come up with, he'll give you a packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time is that, Mary?
7:00,
Thank you for your patience. This is
June 5th.
new for me.
Okay, then we still need the one that is a work session.
Work
and then
session
the
slash
Gordon.
legislative. If we could do it the same night, that'd be great, I think.
And community relations.
And community relations.
Why don't you, if I can make a suggestion, why don't you do the community relations the same night as the meeting with the politicians? The work session may take you a lot
A
longer.
lot longer.
Oh, right, do Gordon first, and then we can leave,
that would
and
be-
the other committees.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So what, that's,
So the week of the 19th, we have some open days. The 19th or the 22nd.
which is the, what
The
meeting are
week
we
of
talking?
May
May 19th.
or 22nd.
May 22nd. We'll do Gordon and his crew at 7. And then community relations immediately following, and I will not expect it to be done before like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
There you go.
Because last time I wasn't prepared.
Can't we just put, can't we just,
Oh,
can't
hold on, I
we
got it.
just
Wait a minute.
put after the.
Yeah.
What kind of meeting is this legislative?
If
Legislative
if
work
they can
session.
make it.
Can we do
all
it,
for
call it a legislative work session?
Yeah.
Legislative work
Is
session?
that the
Well,
Gordon?
we'll have to reschedule
Yes.
after
Well,
May
reschedule it then.
15th.
Let's not worry about it.
I thought it was 7.
No, we
That's
we
open.
match community relations.
That's gonna be happening.
You don't want to read
We have no
I'm all over
requirements.
the place.
Legislators.
So now
Legislative.
only your work session, your work session,
Work session, meeting with legislators.
that's gotta be scheduled.
For the superintendent's evaluation.
No.
The referendum.
The referendum, I'm sorry.
Work session, right? That's what needs to be scheduled.
Can we do that on it? Oh, you can do Mondays or Fridays.
Wait a minute, on the other meeting, on public relations and the legislators, we should do the public relations first, only because otherwise Lisa's gonna be sitting from 9 o'clock
That's a good idea.
waiting.
Oh, do public relations at 7, and have Gordon come at
What time of day?
8.
It's community.
Did you change
I
that?
said, I was kidding, just JK.
We're gonna make the referendum work
Well, we have
session.
no Thursdays left for meetings.
I please don't,
No, but we.
if I know in advance, I will get the night off from work.
All right, so
It's
Bruce is
something that I
only the
feel that I
referendum
can't
work session,
miss.
that's all that's left.
Well, you've got that night, and I'm trying to remember everybody out of respect for their interests. You want to go over the enrollment in elementary school. That's a, Mark wants to revisit that, so we have to, right? You want to do that? You want to talk about space versus possibility of full day kindergarten. What does that look like? Music, art on a cart is connected to that. And then a referendum versus the possibility of a building permit. So you have all of those topics.
That's gonna be right.
That's why I
All
said,
night.
You also have community service.
and community service, yeah, but I don't know if they'll go that night, but that's another thing we gotta get to, which
So do we have a night, a day for that?
we haven't gotten today.
It's
It's a lot, it just keeps coming, but we'll get to that probably later.
Can we break a rule and do a Wednesday, Tuesday?
Well, I have problems with Tuesdays.
Can we break a rule and do a
You can do it
Wednesday?
Monday, do Monday. If I,
Or
If she has
maybe
advance notice.
Tuesday, or Mondays and
So
Thursdays.
would Monday the 19th be enough advance notice?
Monday, May 19th?
May 19th,
May, I'm not here May 19th.
okay.
So what about 12th?
Yeah, there's so many.
We have
Well, we have-
holidays, no good. Vacant. What's the story on?
How about May 5th?
19th, Bruce is not here.
Bruce is not
What's the story
here.
is the 5th?
May 5th?
Yeah.
Is that
That's
too
6th of
soon?
July, I'm sorry.
I can't get, I can't.
I'll keep in mind.
I can't get.
Please don't bring the margaritas.
There's
Curve
no
ball.
May
What's that?
26th.
Curve, I'll bring the curve.
Now it's either
Then we're
June
out of
2nd
May.
or June 9th, that's how long we're into it. June
So
2nd, June
how
9th.
about May 5?
You can do May
Cindy
five.
can.
I will not be there. But I don't want you to, if that's the night, that's the night. It's too
The
soon.
referendum work session
That-
May
for the
5.
5th of May.
Time?
7?
For when? So let's not do it May
No,
5th.
it's not good, you got too many people not being. How about?
How about May 7th, the
We
Wednesday?
have, what do we have, June 9th?
June 9th?
June
Nothing.
9th.
June
You're
9th?
getting, you're getting way.
And then the board meeting is the 12th, is that right?
Yeah, I just think you're going too far. I think you're going too far away and.
June 9th, well, what do you have before June 9th?
Nothing.
We could do a
I
Wednesday,
think we
May.
should try to Wednesday instead of going so.
We could do May, a Wednesday, May 7th.
Yes, you can
Or
do
we
that.
can
We're
14th.
gonna be at Macaluso's on May
No,
You're gonna be in Macaluso's
No,
all
Cindy said,
weekend.
we're gonna be at.
No, I have to RSVP by May
Huh?
7th, that's.
Like it's the 12th, isn't it 12th?
It is the 12th.
We do May 7th.
The RSVP is the 7th.
May 7th.
Is your meeting.
We're gonna go to the 7th and warm up.
May 7th?
How about May
It is a
7th?
nice
May
day.
7th, fine.
May 7th.
Referendum work session,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And that's coupled with Gordon, right?
No.
That's not coupled.
No.
Gordon is
Because Gordon is community relations on the 22nd.
Community relations,
I got that,
7,
I got
Bob
it.
Gordon at 8.
I have so much scribbled on here, right?
I know.
You wanna run down?
Yeah, let's have a
No, I have a
run
question.
No,
Okay, question.
I have a note in that we had a tentative date for shared services, that fell through. May 1st.
No,
It's the 5th, it's the 1st.
1st of May.
That's definite?
well, we have to make sure,
Well, that's the date everybody picked.
right, but do we all, can you,
Is the town showing up? Is that the big thing?
well, that's what
I don't
we
have
just
the
have to
time, I
make
just
sure.
have a note.
It would be 7:30.
What is that?
Shared services,
What is it?
committee.
It would be May 1st. That one we planned.
I
Yeah.
know, but
The only important things, the only thing we have to iron out.
I think that I
7
think
o'clock or
it
7:30?
might kind of like be my fault, because I didn't realize
7 o'clock or 7:30?
with the evaluation and everything that it was gonna
You always do them at
It's
7:30.
No. You wanna run down this?
Yes,
Let's-
please.
April 30th custodial negotiations.
Yes.
I don't have a time.
7.
May 1st, shared services. May 3rd, board retreat.
8 AM is breakfast,
It's funny.
8:30
I'm
it
showing up for
starts.
breakfast,
8 AM is breakfast, it's starting 8:30.
May 7th is the work session on several topics.
Referendum.
Do you want us
Is
to
the
advertise it with the word referendum in there, or just leave it?
Well, you want people to show up, don't you?
I'm just saying, for these people
Good.
sitting here,
May
this group is so
Please,
confused, I'm just
May
reiterating.
8th, secretary negotiations.
Yes,
May 8th?
yes, secretary,
May 12th, policy at
Yes.
7.
yes,
May 15th is our board meeting at
Yes.
Memorial at 7.
yes.
May 22nd is community relations at 7. And the work session
No, board-
meeting with
board.
legislators is at 8.
That's
And June 5th is the personnel committee for non-board at 7.
And May 29th is the Fleason.
Right.
And June 12th is the board meeting?
And the scholarship thing is June 10th.
Yes, graduation is
Can I give
June
you a couple, just so you have them ahead of time? June 9th is Spring Sports Awards. June 10th is
That's
senior,
why I said you
June 10th
can't
is
do
senior
it.
awards night.
What was the second one?
June 10th, senior awards, all scholarships. And graduation's the 24th. The prom is the 12th, but that doesn't matter to you.
Well, how do you know?
That's the one thing we really want to go to the.
Maybe we're
June
going to
9th is
table.
what, Jim?
June 9th is Spring Sports Awards,
What time?
7 o'clock.
Right, Mark?
You got all those dates, Tracy?
Yeah,
Jim,
yeah,
you
we
have
have
to
to
make
make
one of those plaques?
because I cannot.
Not yet.
June 9th, I believe, I reckon, May 9th, yes.
Not May 9th,
June
June
9th.
9th.
Is what? Spring
Spring
Sports.
Sports.
Yes,
Spring Sports Awards.
All right, could you please put that down?
I got that, and we're gonna go to the Bronx, do that thing more point
What do
to.
you say?
And June 8th is the board
Fair
meeting
one,
with
day,
table
4
at the fair.
Yes, it is. I got all of that. That's why I
What was
can't
that?
make it.
June 8th is.
June 8th is what?
June 8th is the street fair. This is like experience.
Jim? Jim?
Like a comedy of errors.
Athletic committee dates. I mean, where are we
Yeah, I was
going?
gonna say, I don't know.
I don't know.
June 8th, street fair. Where's the map? You can't do
The
it.
street fair.
What do you want?
Sunday the 9th, Sunday the 8th is the street fair.
You want
Let
to,
us set the athletic.
Anastasia from the student
I
government,
can get her.
Sue St. John from, and I wanted to tell Dave Laub and Kathy Schofield from the Hall of Fame so that they, and also, Joanne, Tom Senko, is he the one that is able to report to us about this display case and the issues with the wall?
Yes.
Okay, so he needs to be there.
Where? When?
We're not sure.
Give me a date, I'll make sure everybody's there.
Okay, but I'm on vacation soon, so I don't know.
Can you find out, can you get a date from Tom and then get back to me?
I'm telling you, he's just not here from
Only day that would.
next Friday through May,
We got meetings the rest of the week.
May 2nd through the 9th he's away. So whatever after that, he's gonna.
How about May 14th?
May?
Yeah, wait. Because he needs to explain it, nobody knows. Who's he talking to? He's gonna talk to Ori, the athletic committee, and the whole thing. Well, he could.
As I said, I'll talk to Tom, I'll find out all the details and then I'll.
I just wanna make sure that there's something, because they're gonna have to revamp what they wanna do.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
What
hold,
did Jim say?
the wall's not gonna hold it.
Yeah.
On June 11th, what?
So did Cindy, did we say a date?
Yeah, hold on.
Or you can do that and I'll do this.
I'll be right with you.
No problem.
How about the 13th of May? It's a
It's okay with
Tuesday.
me.
Okay,
Tuesday.
yeah. Tuesday, May 13th, Jeff,
Tuesday, May 13th.
athletic.
What time?
Tentatively, 7 o'clock is fine.
You wanna do it at the high school in case you wanna walk down and look at
Yes,
the
we
site?
can
Okay.
do it at the high school.
All right.
That's good.
What time did you say, Cindy?
7. Is that okay, or is it?
I hope no one's watching. Oh.
Motion to adjourn.
Now, wait, wait, wait,
Whoa,
wait,
whoa,
wait.
whoa, whoa.
Each June, we have an education meeting where we have the PLCs come and show you every year, which is great. We gotta come up with a night for that.
It's an education meeting.
Education.
The least education.
I don't know what days are open.
Yeah, very.
Nothing open in May.
We gotta go to June. Well, we usually have it in June.
We do June 9th? No, June 9th is the sports awards.
Yes, please don't forget.
Yeah, that's gonna be that night. Oh, June.
Yes,
Yeah.
but,
What-
I'm gonna send it.
Well, June 16th.
What, education? June 16th, education?
We got it. Well,
You did say 16?
we should.
I threw it out there, I don't know if that's.
I think everyone just bought it, okay.
June 16th, the education committee with the PLC presentation, the goals.
7.
7.
what are they doing, another one, June 16th?
That's the education and the year.
7, Bruce?
So,
And I'm gonna do that. And I'll do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I keep forgetting I'm the one that's running this. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
No.
A recess. To recess.
To go into closed session.
A 15.
So moved.
10-minute break.
Don't move.
Sorry, that was just really.
Yes.
And then you have to go to the ladies' room. It's gonna take you more than a minute. Meeting, we're recessing.